Yes, yes, yes. It's Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. And we are live. I believe we're live. I think we're live. I hope we're live. Okay. Okay. Let's get straight into this. Hello and welcome. Did I just say that? Let me say it again because I forgot. Hello and welcome. You are in tune to the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. Let me fix my posture. Come on now. Let me fix my posture. Okay, sitting up straight. No. What you on about? Wilder turned down 100 mil to fight AJ. And when Wilder is coming off to beat downs from Fury, he's a killer. Get real. Get real. For real. Fuzzy is here, up in the building. The Wizard Sleeves. Deserve Wilder. Comedy gold. Don't worry, we're gonna get into his piece. His rantings. Okay. Cal L up in the building. How do you do? Salute to the Combat Radio Nation. Hit that like. Hit the like button. Hit the share button. And hit the subscribe button. And hit the bell icon to stay updated with news and notifications. 100%. Okay. And what have I forgot to do? Okay, well, let's do this now. Let's do it now. We'll get straight into the Malignaggi statements. Let's get the scroller going. Let's get the scroller going on. Okay. Show that. Dang. What did I do? I copied the wrong thing. Hold on. Let's try that again. Let's try that again. Oh no, I did the right thing. Okay, that's good. No, that's bad. Yeah, we're good again. Yeah, we're good. We're in good shape. Okay. So, without further ado, you've seen the title. So let's do this. Let's get straight into it. What kind of speed we're looking at? 1.5. Can we go 1.75? Can we do that?
If you got more than enough.
Damn it. Damn you, advert. Okay, let's go double time.
Yeah, before you get to him on the way in and get to you instead.
Oh no, okay. That's a bit too much. Let's go 1.5.
And then obliterate you. You know, that was the judgment we all learned to grow up and love. And
Okay. Let's get the mic placement right, hopefully. Wilder has been inactive. The Elenius fight was only one round. Well, it was 90 seconds. The Elenius fight was 90 seconds, 1.5 minutes. Wilder may need a warm-up. Well, you know, Ruiz declined. So, wonder whose warm-up's going to be. Well, Malik Scott hasn't said anything about a warm-up. They're talking about January. Where are we now? August, September, October. Joshua says he wants to fit another one in. I think he should fit another one in. August, September, October, middle of October. Then what does that leave us? Middle of November, December, January, using 3 months. So if either of them fight in the middle of October, then they're going to fight in the middle of January. Well, that's 3 months. Is it doable? I think it's very doable. But like I said, Malik Scott seems to be speaking for Wilder these days. He ain't said nothing about a warm up, but hey, it's on them. It's on them to get the warm up in. But are they going to risk? Is Deontay Wilder going to risk taking a warm up like Joshua risked taking a warm up? Is he going to take the risk? Malignaggi, a feather-fisted fantasist. I can't believe how someone so feather-fisted as Malignaggi actually became a world champion. It's incredible to me. It's incredible to me. Malignant Malignaggi. True indeed. True indeed. Well, let's get into his statements. Let's look into it. Okay. Let's go. Let's go.
Patteringly looking for a tactical move inside, but second guessing himself. Obviously, Elenius, he's gonna throw something back, but Joshua almost never had that apprehension before. Obviously, anybody's gonna throw something back, but Joshua never had that kind of apprehension to where he's worrying so much about what's coming back, and he's so confident he's gonna be able to disguise his entrance behind the jab, behind whatever he does, have that explosive first step to he's gonna close the gap before you get to him on the way in, and get to you instead, and then obliterate you. That was the Joshua we all learned to grow up and love, and I don't think that Joshua exists anymore. He's kind of.
Okay, Malignaggi makes a point which I kind of somewhat agree with. I think I said it in the video. I think I said it in my video, my post-fight video, post-Joshua Elenius video. I think I said, if I didn't say it, I meant to say it. I hope I said it because I was thinking it. And that is that forget about the Joshua that you used to know. Forget about the Joshua that you used to know, because that Joshua forget about the Joshua that you used to know, because that Joshua's gone. I'm saying that Joshua has gone. Hold on a second. Let me try and fix something. Back in a second. What's this here? Okay, marginally better. As I was saying, okay, so forget about what I'm saying. Forget about the Joshua that you used to know, because that guy doesn't really exist anymore. I don't think that guy exists anymore. That guy who'd go in reckless, smell one part of blood in the ocean, he's going in like a shark. Forget about that guy. That was then. This is now. This is a more cautious Joshua. This is a more tactical Joshua. This is a more circumspect Joshua. This is a more careful Joshua. The old guy don't exist anymore. This is the new Joshua. This is the Joshua that exists. This is the Joshua that is. He's careful, a little bit tentative. He's careful and tentative. That's what I'm saying. He wasn't careful and tentative before, but now he is. And that's the reality. And that's how it is. The Bizzle up in the building. How do you do? Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that share button. Okay, so let us continue. Where are we? There he is.
Try to pitter-pat his way in, tippy-toe his way in, and I don't think that works, especially when you're trying to work on a fight against Deontay Wilder, where you're going to try to work their way in inch by inch instead of exploding into the punch zone. And if you're trying to do that, I mean, Wilder's going to keep you on the end of that right hand and drill you. You know what I mean? Especially there's not really a lot of headroom on the part of Joshua. There is, but he's a little bit stiff. It can be easily timed. I don't know, man. I don't know. Again, this is a fighter I really liked, but I can almost feel the changeover in him. And it's not a matter of trainers at this point. It's a matter of himself. Psychologically, he's not the same fighter anymore. That happens to people. That happens to fighters. It happens to basically almost all of us,
Psychologically, he's not the same fighter. Well, I think we know that. That's factual. We know he's not psychologically sound fighter. We know since the Ruiz fight, he's been a different fighter. Let's face facts. That's the reality. But that doesn't mean that he can't get knockouts anymore. As a matter of fact, rat-tat-tat-tat. Let's pull up some stats. Let's have a look at who he's fought. Who he fought. Still going back to Paulie, don't worry. But let's just have a quick look. Quick look at who he's fought recently, in recent times, recent days. Let's have a quick look and then we get back to Paulie. Okay, where are we? Okay, can you see that? Is that up on your screen? Yeah. Okay, I don't know how well you can see that, but let's go with it. Okay, so Robert Helenius, 1 KO, 7 round. Jermaine Franklin, very competent boxer. 1 unanimous decision, 12 rounds. Alexander Usyk, lost. Split decision. Okay. That's the cruiserweight lineal champion, and now the heavyweight unified champion. The only thing stopping the unification is Luke Fury. Okay. Previous to that, lost unanimous decision, Alexander Usyk. Okay. Kubrat Pulev won by KO. 9th round KO. Previous to that, Andreas the Ponce Ruiz won by unanimous decision. Previous to that, lost to Andreas the Ponce Ruiz, TKO, 7th round. Previous to that, beat Alexander Povetkin, TKO, 7th round. Previous to that, won Joseph Parker, unanimous decision. Previous to that, stopped, controversial stoppage, albeit, to Carlos Takam, TKO, 12th, 10th round. Previous to that, beat Vladimir Klitschko, round 11, TKO. Okay, I think we're going back far enough. I think by that time, oh no, he hadn't got all the belts. He had to fight Joseph Parker to get the WBO. Okay, right. So, how many fights is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 fights. And out of 11, he's got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So out of 11 fights, he's got 5 KOs or TKOs. I want to go back to Molina and Breezel. Just keep it there. So 5 knockouts or TKOs out of 11 fights. And out of those 11 fights, he lost 2 to Alexander Usyk, 1 to Andreas the Ponce. Stopped once by the Ponce. So 5 KOs, 3 losses, 1 by KO. What's that? That's 8. 3 losses. And the rest he won. The other 4, well, the other 3 he won by unanimous decision. Let me write this down in case I need to come back to it. Okay. So 5 KOs. 3 losses. And 3 wins via points. 5 KOs, 3. Okay. So, what else we doing? What else we saying? Okay, so that's Joshua. Let's look at who's a common opponent, Hellenius. Let's look at where's Wilder? There he is. Okay. There's Wilder. Let me make sure I still got you on the screen. It's saying here. No Sky Money. So back to being a Sherman tanker. Sherman tanker. Who's a Sherman tanker? Franklin is durable. Franklin very much so, and skilled. He's a Golden Glove. He's a talented, skilled heavyweight. Wilder only has 1 round since being slept by Fury. Only 1 round in what, 90 seconds? 90 seconds in 2 years. Childi Ugorji. How you doing? Good to have you up in the building. Paulie talks a lot of yes, indeed. Wilder has never beat a non-bum in his life. OMG. A lot of questions are asked about Joshua's mental state, but Wilder is a mess. His antics are something else. Well, it's very curious. It's very curious. When they talk about excuses, I don't think I've really heard Joshua come up with excuses. Heard lots of excuses from Deontay, Windmill, Wilder. Lots of them. So I don't know what they're on about. I don't know what they're on about when they talk about stuff like that. But let's have a look at Wilder. Before we get back to Malignaggi. Okay, so let's have a look at Wilder's last 11 fights. Robert Hellenius, 1. Tyson Fury, 2. Tyson Fury, 3. Luis Ortiz, 4. Dominic Breezel, 5. Tyson Fury, 6. Luis Ortiz, 7. Romain Stavern the second time, the fat one, who trained in the parking lot of KFC. That's 7. Gerald Washington, 8. Chris Arreola, 9. Arthur Spilker, 10. Johan Duapas, 11. Now, this is disgraceful in itself. We're talking about mans like Johan Duapas, Arthur Spilker, and Chris Arreola. What? 11, 10, 9. Gerald Washington, 8 fights ago. This is scandalous. Romain Stavern, the second fight, 7 fights ago. This is scandalous. Absolutely scandalous. These fights are being counted as world championship fights. Absolutely scandalous. Crazy. I find it hard to believe that Romain Stavern, who wasn't even in the rankings second time around, was even a world championship fight. I'm having to read it to make sure that Romain Stavern the second time was actually a WBC heavyweight title fight. That's scandalous. Scandalous. So Johan Duapas was 11. That was a world heavyweight title fight. Arthur Spilker was 10. That was a world heavyweight title fight. Chris Arreola. Okay, Chris can fight, but even so, for the world heavyweight title, come on. What's that? 11, 10, 9. Gerald Washington, 8 fights ago. This is preposterous. Romain Stavern the second time, 7 fights ago. This is bizarre and outrageous. This man was fighting Romain Stavern 7 fights ago. That's It's totally outrageous. Totally outrageous. So what's this? Let's get this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. Let me do a recheck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, forget about Joan Joapas. But that was a heavyweight title fight too. 11 is Artur Spilka. 11, Artur Spilka. 10, Chris Arreola. 8, Gerald Washington. 7, Bermain Stavern. Okay, let me come to Ortiz the first time. Fair enough. That was 6. Fury, 5. Dominic Breezel, 4. Luis Ortiz, 3. Tyson the second time, 2. Or 3. Tyson the third time, 2. Robert Helenius, 1. And in those fights, in those 11 fights, okay, Wilder got a KO, clean KO versus Robert Helenius. That's 1. Lost by KO to Tyson Fury. Lost by TKO to Tyson Fury. Any more losses? Was that a split decision? The first one. No more losses. Okay, let's keep a record. So Windmill, 2 KOs. Nah, let's count how many KOs he issued out. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. TKO to Luis Ortiz, 4. Well, let's go with the straight knockouts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bermain Stavern. 5. Artur Spilka. Okay, so 5 KOs. Those KOs were Artur Spilker. Bermain Stavern the second time. Dominic Breezel did that in 1 round. Luis Ortiz the second time. And Robert Helenius last year, 2022, October. Okay, so that's 5 clean KOs. A TKO of Luis Ortiz when they gave him that break. When the referee let them have the break, sit down in between rounds, and then when the next round should have started, the referee called in the doctor to check out Wilder or something like that. Delayed the fight after Wilder was in trouble. I think Wilder was in trouble in the 7th round. Remember that? Yeah. So Wilder recouped after he was in trouble on the ropes, getting battered by Luis Ortiz, and he recouped with the help of the ref slowing down the fight, bringing in a doctor for no apparent reason, delaying the fight, giving Wilder more recuperation time. Okay, so that was a TKO. The other TKO was Gerald Washington. That wasn't a clean knockout. That was a TKO. So Chris Arreola retired. That's some kind of TKO, I guess, whatever. Okay, so retired was called a TKO. 1 TKO, 2 TKO, 3 TKOs. So call it 3 TKOs. 3 TKOs. And what's that? And 2 losses. 2 losses The draw. 2 losses. 1 draw. 2 losses and 1 draw. Okay, so the tally is Anthony Joshua got 5 KOs. Or 3 KOs and 2 KOs. 2 TKOs. Deontay Wilder, 5 KOs. Primarily over subpar opponents. And 3 TKOs. Anthony Joshua, 3 losses, 2 to Usyk, 1 to Andreas the Punch Ruiz. Deontay Wilder, 2 losses and 1 draw. All to the same person, Tyson Fury. So what's the difference? What's the difference there? The difference there is in the quality of opponent. Anthony Joshua has fought a better quality of opponent. Deontay Wilder, for the most part, low-hanging fruit. Oh, sorry. My bad. Low-hanging fruit. Link in the chat. So there's different qualities. There's different caliber. They're fighting different caliber. They have been fighting a different caliber of people. Of course, you're going to pad out your record. If you're fighting the likes of, where are we? Duapas, Arthur Spilker, Chris Ariola, yeah, he's decent. Gerald Washington, Bermain Stavern the second time. That's like what? That's 1. It's keeping it within the 11. Arthur Spilker, Gerald Washington, Bermain Stavern. That's 3. That's 3 guys already that you think to yourself, well, no, how the hell could they have been fighting for a heavyweight championship? That's preposterous. That's outrageous. We're talking about different caliber of people, different caliber of fighter. It's crazy, yo. Shizzle is crazy, yo. AJ didn't shed tears for Hellenius. AJ didn't shed tears for Hellenius after he knocked him out, after he sparked him out. Well, that is true. That is true. Wilder will duck. Wilder always duck. Damn, I don't think he's going to duck this time. There's 100. Well, there's a lot of money on the line. He turned down that money. I think he's kicking himself. You know, I think it looks back as a bad decision. He's kicking himself. You don't want to turn down this money this time, surely. Both Fury and Wilder are time wasters. Well, we know that. That's factual. Wilder power versus who? Well, let's just have a little quick look again. What's up on the screen? Can you see what I can see? Let's have a little quick look. Look again. Where was his power? Okay, knocked out Hellenius. Fair enough. That was a knockout. Tyson Fury lost by KO. Tyson Fury, to whom he lost by a TKO. Luis Ortiz. Let's not forget the second fight. He was losing every round. Wilder was losing every round, and then he came back with a KO. Okay, fair enough. But he was losing every round. Congrats on the KO. Congrats on the KO. But he was losing every round. Let's not lose sight of that fact. Dominic Breezel, fair play. Took the guy out in 1 round. He's done that before. Took him out in 1 round. Breezel, terrible technique. Breezel displayed. Very lackadaisical. Tyson Fury, split decision. Draw. Luis Ortiz, first time around, he was getting battered, like I said. Referee actually saved him, gave him some more time, and he came back and he won by a TKO when poor old Luis, 50, probably 48, 49 at the time, old Tease, his cardio gave up on him. But yeah,
Rafi 48 is very young.
48.
I just went to interject.
48 is young, is it?
Well, I'm 40. Well, yeah, for me, yeah.
48 is not athletically young, my friend. It's not athletically young.
There's some feats I can undertake to prove differently.
Well,
no, I'm joking. I'm just joking.
Okay. Listen. I got calls. I had a 16-year-old girl tell me that I look 16 just the beginning of the year. So, I mean, people.
We've covered this previously.
We've covered it previously. It's factual. So people can, if people do take care of themselves, then they can decline.
But on a serious note,
lower rate.
Getting punched in the head regularly will
age you,
deteriorate your reflexes and everything else.
No doubt about it. So, okay, give him credit to TKO Luis Ortiz, Bermain Stavern the second time.
Hold on, I think there is something that should be pointed out, though.
Yeah.
Was it the 5th round that Wilder put Ortiz down and he got up and he went on to actually put a pasting on Wilder?
What are you talking about?
First fight, Ortiz.
Yeah.
Wilder did put him down in the 5th or the 6th. Ortiz took a short count.
Yeah.
And then went on to batter Wilder to the point where the referee had to intervene. So this so-called he's only got to touch you and you're out.
Yeah. It's nonsense.
It's absolute fallacy, to be honest.
Yeah. It's nonsense. So going through the list, Bermain Stavern, who we just talked about, Luis Ortiz. Okay, Bermain Stavern. Is this the first or the second time?
That's the second one if it's after Ortiz.
Okay. So the second time, Bermain Stavern wasn't ranked by anybody. He was a fat slob. He was doing his training in the KFC parking lot where they parked the dumpster. And so
that's where that is fighting between the Wilder fight and his rematch as well.
It's crazy how that could have been ruled as a heavyweight championship fight is outrageous.
Should I tell you what's worse?
What's that?
That was considered to be a mandatory.
Oh, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Gerald Washington, that was a heavyweight title fight as well. The mind boggles. And fair enough, he took him out. Well, it was a TKO.
I don't think the Washington one was that bad when you look at everything else, because wasn't he unbeaten at the time?
He was unbeaten at the time, but I mean, he wasn't ranked. He wasn't ranked by anybody, surely. Gerald Washington. I don't think
when you compare it to the other fights on there,
yeah,
it's actually one of the better ones, which is even more scary.
Well, Gerald Washington, when did he fight? When did he fight Wilder? Deontay Wilder. Fought him in 2017. Before that, he'd fought Ray Austin, Eddie Chambers, Amir Mansour, Jason Gavin. These are all middle of the pack fighters.
I think Washington's the first person. Oh no, it wasn't his first person. Was he the first person who Zoe took?
Sorry?
I just feel like of all the fighters on his resume,
yeah,
I think potentially Gerald Washington's the first person who Wilder actually took their own. And the only one that he might have been the first person to KO as well. Everybody else. Ortiz as well, they're the two who Zoe took, and he was the first person to KO.
Okay, so he took his O. Deontay Wilder lost TKO. Jarrell Big Belly Miller lost, retired in round 8. Adam Kawanaki, we're talking about Gerald Miller's resume here, lost TKO, second round. Robert Elenius won KO in the 8th round. Elenius was winning that, and then he just kind of gassed. And then Washington rallied and caught him. I think it was a sweet right hook. Washington can actually hit. He can actually hit. He does have some punching technique. He just doesn't have the cardio. He just doesn't have the horsepower to keep on going. He fights in very short spurts.
I think he also suffers with the Joseph Parker disease as well.
Joseph. Oh, okay. The missing dog. Yeah, well, that's a factor too. Charles Martin, he lost TKO in the 6th round. Demarisian, he lost TKO in the 8th round. Derek Chisora, he lost unanimous decision in the 10th. So this is the caliber. This is the caliber of Wilder's opponents for the most part. Only when he got up to Tyson Fury did he really step up, and his best performance was the first one. After that, he just went down dramatically. Lost in the 7th round in the second fight. Lost by KO. That was TKO. Lost by KO in the 11th. And let's be honest, that wasn't a KO punch. That was just Deontay Wilder absolutely dog-tired. And he'd been dog-tired for a long time in that fight. Let's not get it twisted. What we saying here? Fury and his bodyguard, bomb squad, two cheeks of the same arse. OMG. What we saying here? Fury shenanigans have put the heavyweight division in disarray. It has. He has. Still don't know if he's going to take the Usyk fight after this sham of a fight with Ngannou. Wilder's resume thinner than hospital soup. Damn. Wilder has been under Mother Finkel's wing for far too long. Since the cherry picking things haven't been the same. The cherry picking's made him a very rich man. Him and Fury right now, I'd put Dinosaur Ortiz as 55. Yeah, he's getting up there. Getting up there to free bus pass age. So yeah, when you look at Wilder, when you talk about Joshua and Wilder, you have to factor in the overall difference in quality of opponent. John D. Lee.
Well, I mean, who would you argue is Wilder's best win? Would you say it's Ortiz or Stiverne?
Maybe the first Stiverne. Okay.
Well, I don't know if you had a chance to look at the footage that I sent you, but Wilder must have landed in excess of 60 right hands in that fight. And Stiverne saw the end of the fight on his feet. And I think that's the best display that this alleged power is exactly that, alleged. If we go to Ortiz, this so-called boogeyman, as soon as he went on Matchroom, it was horrific.
Yeah.
The what's that Yorkshire comedian called? Dave Allen.
Dave Allen.
Couldn't put Dave Allen away. Went 12 rounds with Malik Scott. Did he actually fulfill his third fight?
I don't even know if he did.
Because he went off to because he was mandatory for Joshua.
Yeah.
Which is why Eddie signed him.
Yeah.
And the Povetkin mandatory was ahead.
That's right.
He was on 4, so he went across to PBC to fight for Wilder's title. And he was getting old, challenging for George Foreman's record. So I don't blame him for changing, promoting. But all this mythology about his powers quickly dried up as soon as he went onto Matchroom.
Straight.
And if you go through Ortiz's resume, it's actually worse than Wilder's.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
so you probably would have to say Stiverne is the highest caliber of opposition that he's fought, and in my opinion, the only two people that you could create an argument for being in the top 10 that he's fought are Stiverne and Fury. And there are no knockout wins for Wilder in any of those fights. Consistently, all the boxing pundits talk about how Anthony Joshua will fail since the Andy Ruiz loss.
Yeah.
So everybody said he shouldn't take the rematch. There's no way that he can win the rematch.
That's
but
true.
He won it. Everybody pretty much said he shouldn't have taken the rematch against Usyk. And what seems to get heavily overlooked is he actually performed better in the second fight. Normally, it's the master boxer who performs better in the rematch.
For real.
And Anthony Joshua actually managed a better performance in the second fight than he did in the third. I don't think he won it, but he showed improvement. Has he looked tentative since he got KO'd by Ruiz?
Yes.
Did he look tentative against Helenius?
Yes.
Was it a late replacement?
Yes.
And is it the first late replacement he's had since Andy Ruiz?
For real.
Was he having to deal with those demons? Probably.
Yes.
Let's look at another fighter who had some bad knockout losses and came back and then went on to be an extremely good boxer, Lennox Lewis. After the Oliver McCall KO loss, he was tentative as well.
He was.
And over time, his confidence returned and he became less tentative. He still didn't throw caution to the wind.
Mm-hmm.
But when we go back to when Anthony Joshua was throwing caution to the wind, he had a constant stream of criticism of having no defense, not being a good boxer, a knockout waiting to happen. All of these things were things that were leveled against him.
Mm.
So the criticism, just for whatever reason, he's a magnet for it. But this idea that all Wilder has to do is touch you and you're out is nonsense. He did not put Juhaupas down. Juhaupas was just stopped by the referee, didn't touch canvas.
For real.
Gerald Washington was stopped on his feet while he was windmilling on him. And it was close to the end of the round. He might have got out that round.
Mm.
I've seen even Brazil got up. I mean, I was all right with the stoppage, but he beat the count.
Yeah.
I think the only people he's clean slapped are Spilker and Helenius. Maybe a few people early on, but I mean, when we look at the caliber of people he fought before he fought for a title, I mean, that's just so bad it's untrue. And then when we look at the common opponents, they've got 4 common opponents: Jason Gavin, Dominic Brazil, Eric Molina, and Helenius.
Yeah.
It's 2 each in terms of who's finished who quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Joshua's finished Molina in such a more dramatic fashion. I mean, Wilder went knife and death with Molina till he got him out there in the ninth. He was fully buzzed by Molina quite early on.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And it took him to the ninth until he got him out of there. AJ had a look for 2 rounds, and then as soon as he actually opened up on him, he destroyed him. He also beat Jason Gavin more definitively and quicker than Deontay Wilder did. And then Deontay Wilder has beaten Brazil and Helenius far more definitively than Anthony Joshua.
Yeah. First round stoppages.
Yeah, 2 first-round stoppages.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when they have common opponents, they've both knocked them out.
That is true.
It's very difficult to say that Wilder has power head and shoulders above Wilder, or Wilder has power head and shoulders above him. And yeah, I mean, I understand everybody thinks Joshua's got no chin, but I'm afraid, have we not talked about Wilder's chin?
For real.
Tyson Fury is not a heavy puncher.
For real.
And he ragdolled him. Absolutely ragdolled him.
Yeah, in the second and third fights, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And when we look,
go on, sorry.
And when we look at, Fight Doctor in the building, Joshua going straight to sleep. Why? On what basis? How? Explain to me. Tell me how. Tell me why. Tell me what would make you think that. What would make you think, looking at Deontay Wilder's very shabby record, what would make you think that he puts Joshua straight to sleep. What's your argument? Is it the titanium rods? Wilder had titanium rods in his hand for the second Stavern fight. Well, the second Stavern fight, Stavern should not have been anywhere near any top 10 fighter, top 20 fighter, top 30 fighter. The man was literally a fat mess. He was a hot mess. Going in there looking like he was 8 months pregnant. You know, your average guy, and he got to go into, I don't know, fitness first. Fitness first was fitter than Stavern by any measure, any kind of athletic measure. Your average fitness first gym user goes 3 times a week would have read fitter on any fitness test. The rower, the bike, they'd have read better than Stavern. That was crazy. Come on now, that was not a professional in there. Who would Wilder fight for his warm up? Hrgovic. Would he fight Hrgovic? Well, Hrgovic is a bit like a I don't know. Hrgovic doesn't impress me. He does have amateur pedigree, but I mean Dempsey McKean. That Dempsey McKean fight, to me, they were neck and neck. It was a draw before he pulled out that knockout. Fair play to him for the knockout, but Hrgovic is like a big car with a small engine. That's the best way I can put it. A big car with a small engine. I don't think anybody is clamoring to see a Hrgovic fight, honestly. Wilder versus Parker is probably most likely. Would Wilder fight Parker? Is Wilder going to risk taking a warm-up fight at this late stage in the game? I don't even think he would fight a Parker. I'd watch that fight though. It'd be interesting. Joshua going to sleep. Tell me why. What else we got?
I'd actually like to know who on Wilder's resume has got a better chin than than Joshua, that he's actually knocked out.
Well, I mean, Big Boys Boxing, how you doing? I hope you're well. No matter, it's harder. If Joshua fights that cautious from the outside, Wilder will sleep him. He can't fight cautious. He can't fight. To me, he was tense. I've said it. He was tentative. You can't be tense and tentative. You can't be tense and tentative against Wilder. I can't. Yeah, you just can't. You just can't. You got to take it. You've got to take it. You see, listen. Bottom line is, this is my concern. You have to fight Wilder confidently. You have to fight him confidently. And if AJ goes in there tentative, it ain't going to be good. AJ cannot go in there tense and tentative against. Listen, this is my position on the thing. When this is my view on Wilder. He's been built up on mid-ranking average fighters. He's been having heavyweight fights against average fighters for the most part. Now, some people say that's bad, but it can actually give you confidence. It can give you confidence. Fighting mid-tier guys and getting them out of there can give you confidence. Now, when I see Wilder go into the ring, I think that Wilder has better nerve control. Nerves control. He controls his nerves better. Now, is that because he's been fighting average fighters? Probably. Yeah, I'd say probably. But it can work for you. But then you go up against a Fury and then you come unstuck. But then even then in the first fight, he didn't really come unstuck. He did a decent job in the first fight, better than I expected, to be honest. But he evolved. He evolved. He came in the second fight with I don't know what strategy he had, but Fury had a different strategy. Fury had brought in Sugar Hill to adapt his style to a more crank style, a more front foot style, and he obliterated Wilder. But my question now is, does Joshua have the confidence to do what you need to do to beat a Wilder, which is come forward and keep the jab in his face? If he is tentative, and my argument is it ain't going to work. He needs to be confident, and I think that's where some of the disappointment comes from in the Helenius fight. The tentative. He seemed tentative. He seemed tense, and you can't beat Wilder tentative and tense. John Daly.
Okay. So I don't know how many times we've referred to this, but I predicted Tyson Fury to beat Wilder by knockout in the second fight, but nobody really thought that was what was going to happen.
Say that again. Sorry.
On your platform,
yeah.
When Fury went over to Sugar Hill, I predicted him to knock out Wilder.
Right.
Long before that second fight happened, when he signed Sugar Hill to be his trainer.
Sorry, don't forget your word. A gentleman's wager. Absolutely, the fight doctor. Absolutely, we might go large. We might make it 10 large. 10 large. Might make it 10 large. Why not? Absolutely. We'll batten down and secure the finer details of the contract shortly. John Daly.
And the reason that I said that I thought Fury would beat Wilder was because I have always maintained that the way to beat Wilder is to step to him, to get inside his range and put him on his back foot.
Yeah.
I've maintained that because, I mean, a large part of, what's the trainer called now? There's a Detroit trainer who said that within the Detroit circles, it's called step into the power, where the best way to take away that long-range right hand.
Brooks? Is it Brooks? Is it Brooks?
No, it'll come back to me.
Okay.
He did a thing in 2017 that the way to beat Wilder is to step to his power, because essentially Breland is a crunk fighter, and that's the tactic that you should employ to take away the power from those sort of rangy long right hands that Wilder, Breland, and Tommy Hearns all through.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it, because they need to get full extension on their shots to get the power into it. And that's why I predicted Tyson Fury to beat him in the second fight.
Yeah.
Because Sugar Hill understands that he's a crunk fighter, crunk trainer, sorry.
Yeah.
So I don't think that boxing from the outside is the right game plan to beat Wilder. I think it has been proven to fail because you're staying in his range, in his preferred range.
Yeah.
Joshua, since the Andy Ruiz rematch, has exhibited the ability to stick to a game plan.
Yeah.
That's consistently what he's done in all of his fights since then, win or lose.
Yeah.
And I think he will stick to a game plan. So it'll come down to whether they get the right game plan. And that, if you actually watch the third Fury Wilder fight,
yeah,
Fury was actually tentative on the outside for the first couple of rounds.
The first fight?
No, third.
Good. Okay.
He was watching it again the other day. Wilder took the fight to him, and Wilder fought Fury on the front foot.
Yeah, Wilder came out aggressively. Going to the body,
and then he did turn it around. Fury turned it around after time.
Yeah.
I don't think Joshua can make those sort of in-fight adjustments, to be honest.
Mm.
And I'm not saying Joshua automatically hands down beats Wilder, because that's why I want to see the fight.
Yeah.
I think it's a high-risk fight, but I think it's a high-risk fight for both fighters, because I haven't really seen Wilder do anything other than take out someone who doesn't have the best chin, who came charging at him with their hands down by the waist. Other than that, I've seen him comprehensively take an absolute pasting from someone who doesn't hit as hard as Anthony Joshua. So I think there were issues that Joshua was fighting Helenius that were making him more tentative, because he couldn't find his range. And I think when you can't find your range, that makes you more tentative. I think his confidence has been dented with his losses.
Right.
But what's the best way to build your confidence back up again? Is like a highlight reel knockout, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I agree with your concerns, and I don't think that's the right way to fight Wilder. But is that automatically what he's going to do?
No.
And I mean, if you look at the Pulev fight, he took away Pulev's best attribute, which is his jab.
Yeah.
And he did pretty much take away Helenius' right hand in that fight, even though he hadn't been sparring or training for someone of that size.
For real.
But you've only got to watch tape of Wilder to know that if he can't get his jab off, he can't really throw his right hand.
Yeah.
And the best way to do that is to take control of the lead hand and step forward with your jab and push him back.
The battle of the jabs. Got to get in. Shout out to the Anthony Joshua Chile. Well, you know, you have to establish that, my friend. It's the second thing you said you have to establish. You have to come on and establish how this is cheerleading when, you know, we're talking objectively about Joshua's.
We're talking about him being gun shy, hesitant.
We're addressing his shortcomings. We're addressing things of concern. I'm addressing the fact that I wasn't happy with the Helenius fight. I'm addressing the fact that I was sitting there. I said, no, it's not supposed to be like this. This isn't. You're not supposed to be so tentative in there. I didn't expect you to be so tentative second time around, but there are extenuating circumstances.
I mean,
there are extenuating circumstances which it would be foolish to overlook. It would be foolish. Look what happened the last time you went in with the short notice guy. That was Andrew Ruiz. Look what happened the time before he went in with the short notice guy. That was the man from the Cameroon, Takam. Carlos Takam. You know, so there's a short notice thing, and I think there's something I wanted to get into earlier on, which I forgot to get into, and it's how many of the fights. Let's look at Tyson Fury. Let's go Tyson Fury. Let's bring him up on the screen, and I want you people to tell me how many of his fights you found scintillating. Let's just go and have a look, because there's an expectation that every fight's going to be scintillating. So let's look. What the hell why is he up there? Looking for Tyson Fury. Okay, so I presume you can all see Tyson Fury up there. So let's just have a look at the scintillating quota, if he meets it. Let's have a look.
Don't forget to rule out the caliber of opponent as well, please, Rafi.
Rule in.
Well, discuss the caliber of opponent.
You said don't forget to rule out. I'm saying you meant rule in.
Okay, well, rule out the fact that none of them are any good, except for a couple.
Okay, let's bear the caliber of fighter into consideration. I think we can agree on that one. Okay, so Derek Chisora. Was that scintillating? Absolutely not. That's what I'm saying. Derek Chisora. That's one. It's horrible to watch. More horrible. Was it more horrible than the Chelanius fight? I say yes. I'm not a fan of what I saw, but I say Derek Chisora versus Fury was even more horrible. Okay.
Well, at least Anthony Joshua closed the show properly.
At least he closed the bloody show.
And he did set up his KO with skill. It wasn't a hit and hope. It was an intentional.
It was a lot of skill because he used the left to punch the inside of Helenius's right glove. So he literally punched Helenius's right glove away. Then he doubled that with a jab to the belly, stiff jab, and then came over with a hellacious straight right. So it was a 1-2 with the left, and then boom. That was a skillful movement. I've been critical, yes, but that was a skillful finish.
and it was as per the instructions from the corner.
It was.
So whilst he might have some doubts in his mind about his own ability, he doesn't seem to doubt the corner when things aren't working.
Well, he's got a new corner now. He's got more confidence in him. So let's see how that works out. So Derek Chisora, horrible fight. Dillian White, absolute bore fest. He stopped him in the 6. Don't even seem that it was that quick. It was just a horrible fight. Sorry, yeah, good, very good stoppage.
I'd say that was about as good as the Helenius fight.
No. I didn't feel as bored. For you, yeah, cool. For me, I didn't feel as bored in the Helenius fight. I felt more engaged in the Helenius fight. This thing here, everything was wrong with it. I was just sitting there totally emotionally removed.
But Rafi,
yeah.
Like me, were you rooting for Dillian?
I can't remember.
Because I wanted Dillian to win. I had severe doubts about his ability to do so, but it's what I wanted. So
I can't remember.
Because Dillian was performing so badly, I enjoyed it less. But in terms of just objectively, 6 rounds, 5 rounds of nothing, and a show real TKO. Yeah. I think it's fair to say it's about the same as a Helenius fight.
You've got it the same as Helenius fight. Me, I just remember it being a horrible bore fest. Horrible bore fest. So that's 2 to me that were more horrible than Helenius fight. Deontay Wilder, the third one. No. I enjoyed that fight thoroughly enjoyed that.
Class that as a slobber knocker, wouldn't you? Really?
That was a slobber knocker. I thoroughly enjoyed that fight. So fair enough. That's 1 out of 3. Deontay Wilder the second. I thoroughly enjoyed that fight. Thoroughly enjoyed the second.
That's the only Fury fight that I've consistently rewatched for my
thoroughly enjoyed that fight. Thoroughly. Otto Wallin, I enjoyed that fight because Fury was getting his ass kicked. Okay.
So that's not a scintillating Tyson Fury performance, is it?
So that's not a scintillating Tyson Fury performance.
And let's look at the level of opponent there as well. Was he ranked 50 in the world at the time?
He was a low hanging fruit as far as everybody was concerned. But was I entertained? I was entertained, not by Fury, but Otto Wallin. So I enjoyed that fight. Tom Schwartz, that was a funny fight. Sold about 2,000 tickets. I did a video on it, and the other 2,000 were comped. That was hilarious. Was it an entertaining fight? It was as entertaining. It was a freak show fight. It was a sideshow fight at the fair. So 2 rounds, sideshow fight, total waste of time.
Tom Schwartz did look like he was looking for somewhere comfy to lie down, didn't he?
Total waste of time. Deontay Wilder, the first one. Did I enjoy the fight? I thought it was nice back and forth. I enjoyed the fight. I can't lie. I enjoyed the fight. It was a nice back and forth. I enjoyed it. Francesco Pianetta, that's when he came back. Nonsense fight. But let's go to Vladimir Klitschko. Horrible fight. It took me years to watch the fight.
Let's talk about tentative. Did Fury throw a single power shot in that fight?
No, I didn't see it.
I mean, he fainted more than he threw. he consistently ensured that he was never in range of Klitschko's shots. And it was a complete. He looked like a rabbit in the headlights.
Yeah, it was not entertaining.
But it also tentative is beyond explanation for how he approached, and the whole game plan was to ensure that he got nowhere near ever touching getting hit.
Nowhere near. Malcolm Marcel says, does John Daly have an active channel to subscribe to? Do you have an active channel, John?
No.
Okay. You can find him here on the Raphael Dawkins when he's got the time.
This is the best place to hear from me.
It wouldn't have taken 7 rounds. I want to get back to that, but I want to address the chat and a few comments in the chat. It's hard to get everything in. It's hard to address everybody. Shout out to the Fight Doctor. So a couple of comments before we get back into this thing about scintillating. Fury put Wilder. That was a horrible fight. And then he was drugged up and then he ran off and didn't come back for 2 years. Did none of the rematch. Now to me, you're only champion when you defend. It's very much that's the thinking in MMA. I don't know about boxing, but to me, you got to defend it. It's yours.
That's always historically been the status in boxing, Rafi, that you're not a champion until you successfully defend your.
Yeah, you got to defend it, mate. You got to defend it. You storm the castle. You storm the castle, okay, cool in the gang, but then you run out the back door. You storm in the front door, but then you run out the back door, and now you're gone for 2 years. No, you haven't conquered the castle. It ain't yours. You just went through the front door, ran out through the back door, and now you're gone. That's not a champion.
He basically pickpocketed it.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he was held to account, he ran away. If you look at the last 2 rounds of that fight, Klitschko actually started to let his hands go, and he realised there was nothing coming back. So I think he demolished him in the second fight.
Klitschko started, well, exactly, and maybe Fury thought that as well, but it was all academic because he knew he was busted for PEDs.
I think he would have been able to fight on. Huey Fury never actually stopped fighting throughout that 2-year period. And just a retroactive ban.
Yeah. I think he had a little 6-month break or something, though. I'll have to check on that.
He was ill.
Right.
And I think he had some horrific skin conditions that can be very detrimental to your health.
Yeah.
However, they can also be a side effect of steroid abuse.
Oh dear. Yeah, it can actually. They can, because some people have some catastrophic skin conditions with steroids.
Yeah. So
did he suffer from that before?
Well, the thing is, if you're prone to
acne,
often that's a reaction to testosterone going up in puberty anyway.
Yeah.
So that doesn't, being prone to it before doesn't mean to say that it actually means you're more likely to suffer from it when you go on steroids.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
It's like hair loss from steroids. It's like you're probably going to go bald at some point, and it just
speeds up the process. Hellenius was also doing a good job of taking away Joshua's right too by landing his own jab. Yeah, he was.
I mean, Hellenius is a crafty operator, and he didn't go in there rushing forward with his hands down, did he?
Well, the problem is that this was always going to happen, as we discussed on this show prior to the fight, because Wilder took Hellenius out in 1 round, and I didn't envisage. We talked about it, we messaged, and you asked me how I thought it was going to go, and I said Joshua between 3 and 7, between round 3 and 7. So at no point did I expect Joshua to take Hellenius out in the first round. No point did I expect that. I didn't expect him to take him out before the 3rd round, and my prediction was round 3 to round 7, and he got him out there in round 7. So that was towards the latter part of my prediction.
I think I had it 3-6.
You had it 3-6.
Yeah.
You had it 3-6. But getting back to the entertaining fight, Klitschko, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Took me years to watch that fight through. Christian Hamer, I can't really remember that fight too well. Finished him in the end.
It's also got a massive asterisk because that's when he tested positive for Nandrolone.
Well, the British Boxing Board of Control ruled that this fight should be deemed a no contest, and years later, it still hasn't been deemed a no contest. So I don't know what's going on with that. It should say no contest. But seems to be some kind of corruption there because this is BoxRec and it reads as if nothing happened. It should read no contest. Fury failed drug test.
Well, I think that might have something to do with Queensbury promotion.
I think it's got a lot to do with Queensbury promotions. So, was it an entertaining fight? Do you remember it?
He got a stoppage.
Yeah,
I mean, it's actually one of his better performances.
Okay, well, he was on drugs though, so I don't know. Well, we can't rule that. We can't.
In terms of a spectacle, if you're going to go through his resume and you have to watch 3 fights from his resume. Well, no, after the 2 Wilder fights, it might be one of the ones you want to watch.
Okay, well, I'm saying I'm not gonna judge that fight for 2 reasons. One, I can't remember it. And A, and B, it's a no contest because Fury failed a drug test. So we're taking that out of the equation. Okay, so
you can't have any credit for the win.
You can't have any credit for that. No. You failed a drug test. What the hell are we talking about? What the hell are we talking about if we're going to give him credit for the Christian Hamer fight when he failed a drug test and the British Boxing Board of Control said that this fight should be ruled a no contest? So that's out. So let's look at Vladimir Klitschko. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, it's exactly 10 fights. And out of them, I found 1, Deontay Wilder, 1 to be entertaining, 2, Deontay Wilder, the second fight to be entertaining. I found the Otto Wallin fight entertaining, but not because of Fury. So let's take that one out. So that's 2. Tom Schwartz, ridiculous. Deontay Wilder, 3. The first one, I did enjoy that. So that's 3. Pianetta, no. Safari, no. Vladimir Klitschko, no. So out of 10 fights, I found, out of Fury's last 10 fights, I found 3 of them to be entertaining. And if we go back to 10 before that, I think that number would go down.
And Rafi, how many of those are by knockout?
How many of those were by knockouts? The ones you found entertaining?
No, just out of the entire 10.
Out of the entire 10. Okay, so Chisora, TKO. White, how was that TKO?
He did make it to his feet.
Oh, okay.
He beat the count. He wasn't. He wasn't slept.
Oh, okay. So TKO. Deontay Wilder KO. That's 1, 2, 3. What are you talking about? Clean knockouts or including TKO?
Let's split them into TKOs because it is an indication of power, isn't it? I mean,
okay, so TKO 1, 2, 3, 3 TKOs, 4 TKOs. So 4 TKOs.
4 TK. He's got 1 clean knockout, and interestingly, that's Deontay Wilder. And yet, I never hear anybody talk about Wilder's chin. I mean, Fury was specifically chosen, and these are words out of Deontay Wilder's mouth, because he's feather-fisted.
Yeah, that's why they chose him. That's clearly why they chose him. Yeah, but that KO there, to me, that of Wilder, to me, that was fatigue. That was fatigue. He was dog tired.
Yeah.
Wilder was dog tired. So
it's a mixture of 2 things, though, isn't it? Because not only had he blown his gasket,
yeah,
but I do think because he'd blown his gasket, Fury caught him clean. But my point is, a man who's severely lacking in power has managed to beat him by knockout twice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the other TKOs were legit TKOs. I mean,
yeah, they are. But I mean, again, Dillian White, not the best chin, and incredibly susceptible to uppercuts.
Yeah, very much.
Wasn't Derek stopped on his feet?
Yeah.
And what's the other? That's all of them, isn't it?
Sorry.
Oh no, the other one's Tom Schwartz. Well,
TKO, Chisora, White, Wilder,
and Schwartz.
Tom Schwartz.
Yeah, Tom Schwartz.
Tom Schwartz. So out of his last 10 fights, 3 of them were entertaining. Let's go. We're just trying to establish how much entertainment people can reasonably expect from top guys, top heavyweights. Let's look at Wilder. His last 10. How many did you find entertaining? So Robert Hellenius, was that entertaining? He's a 1-round knockout. I guess you could say that. I mean, I guess you could say it was entertaining. Was that entertaining for you?
I didn't really. I don't want to make statements I can't substantiate.
Right.
I think it's fair to say that a first round knockout is considered entertaining, Rafa.
Yeah, I'll say that as well. I wasn't emotionally involved. I mean, it would have been more entertaining if it was a back and forth. If Robert Hellenius had showed something, and if there was a back and forth, and then there was a knockout, that would be scintillating. That would be exciting. But he just went in there and knocked the guy out. Was that entertaining? I don't know. I don't know what to say about that.
I think it's fair to say people watch heavyweight boxing for knockout.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to term that as entertaining, even if I wasn't entertained, because it was too quick for me to get entertained. Robert Hellenius didn't show me anything, so I'm gonna say it was entertaining, even though I wasn't actually entertained because I couldn't get into it. I was not invested in the fight because there was no back and forth. If it was 3 rounds, a back and forth, one guy won 1 round. Let's say Hellenius won the first round. Let's say Wilder won the first round.
You mean like Lyle versus Foreman, something like that?
There we go. Hellenius comes back and wins the second round, and then they come out for the third round, and you're all excited, and boom, Wilder knocks him out. I would have been entertained by that, but I was left cold. But let's call it entertaining for other people's purposes. So 1, let's say that was entertaining. The Fury fights, all of them were entertaining to me. So Fury 1. I mean, that third Fury.
We have to put that same caveat in there that it wasn't entertaining because of Deontay Wilder.
Tyson Fury. Oh, yeah.
Certainly the second one.
Yeah.
That was not entertaining because of Deontay Wilder because he didn't do anything.
The third one was partially entertaining because of Deontay Wilder.
I'd say that in the third one, Deontay Wilder was as important for it being entertaining as Fury was because he did so much better. He made a real fight of it. I mean, I think large parts of that Fury was not on top.
Yeah. So the third one, I'm saying I was entertained. The third one, the second one, it was Fury doing a job. Fury doing a total job on him. That was entertaining. That was down to Fury. Luis Ortiz. Who's this? What am I talking about? Talking about Deontay Wilder. Was I entertained? He was not entertained. Luis. No, I was not entertained. All he did was he got beat for 7 rounds and at 6 rounds and then pull something out in the 7th. So no.
Can I just make a point here, Rafa?
Yeah.
That was like a poor man's version of what Joshua's just done to Hellenius.
Yeah.
We're hearing all this criticism about how it took him too long. And it wasn't entertaining. And this was somebody that Wilder had already knocked out once. He did nothing except for get beat for 6 rounds. He looked tentative. He didn't really want to let the right hand go at all. And we're all supposed to believe that he was just there patiently waiting for the right hand and that he wasn't remembering the fact that Ortiz had actually pretty much banjoed him up in the 9th round of their previous meeting.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to think that he wasn't tentative to throw the right hand, knowing that Ortiz could hurt him.
Mm.
And now then when we watch Anthony Joshua do something similar, Joshua's got totally gun-shy, terrified, not able to have any confidence.
For real.
But I would argue that really the reason he took so long to actually throw his right hand is because Ortiz hurt him so badly in the fight before.
Ortiz hurt him so yeah. That's why it's tentative. Fury McDermott won. Yeah, that was entertaining. That was an entertaining fight. I think he lost that fight.
Yeah, but not because of Tyson Fury, was it?
Not because of Tyson Fury. That's a good point. Not because of Tyson Fury. So Deontay Wilder, we're trying to judge Deontay Wilder here. It's Deontay Wilder we're talking about. Robert Helenius, I'm going to say no, I was not entertained. I was not entertained. If anybody else was entertained, that's cool. I was not entertained. Fury, the third Fury fight, I was entertained partially by Deontay Wilder, yes. The second Fury fight, I was not entertained by Deontay Wilder, so that's a no. I was entertained by what the beating that Tyson Fury was putting on him. So that's a no. So that's still just one. I'm just being brutally frank here. Luis Ortiz, the second, I was not entertained by Deontay Wilder. I was partially entertained by Luis Ortiz because Wilder didn't do nothing but one punch. So no, I was not Can I say I was not entertained? I was entertained by the KO. Okay, fair enough. I was entertained by the KO. That's just two.
But hold on a minute.
Yeah.
So what were you more entertained by, Helenius Joshua or Ortiz Wilder?
I was more entertained by Helenius Joshua Helenius than Ortiz Wilder 2. So more entertained by Joshua Helenius. More. So how many have we got? How many was entertaining? Fury.
Got Helenius so far.
No. I've discounted that. I'm being brutally frank. I was not entertained by that fight. Fury 3, yes, I was partially entertained by Fury, partially entertained by Wilder.
Wilder can have credit for Fury.
Yeah,
3.
I'll give Wilder credit for Fury 3. It did bring something. Even though it didn't work, it did bring something. The second Fury fight, I was entertained, but it had nothing to do with Wilder. So that's still just one. The Ortiz fight, I was entertained by only one thing, and that was the KO. So I guess I'll have to give him that. Just virtue the KO. Was I entertained by the Dominic Breezel fight? No, but he did knock him out, so I got to give him credit for that. Okay, so that's what 1, 2, 3. These are all sneaking across the line.
I'm going to interject though because Brazil did hurt.
Yeah, he did.
So there was some back and forth in that.
There was some back and forth.
I'd say whilst it was only one round, it was a very entertaining round.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I'll go with that. The first fight, I was entertained by Fury and Wilder in the third fight, yes. And the first fight, yes. Was I entertained? I was engaged in the Luis Ortiz, Deontay Wilder. Yes, I did. I was engaged. That was
a back and forth fight.
That was back and forth. I was engaged. Bermain Stavern 2, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Gerald Washington. There was some back and I was entertained by that. There was some back and forth. There was
I'm going to argue against that.
Okay, carry on.
He was losing every single round until he landed the punch.
Mm.
So again, this was very similar to what I've just seen with Joshua and Helenius. Only the big difference here was the KO wasn't truly decisive.
Mm.
Washington got back up onto his feet, and Wilder did a load of windmilling.
Yeah,
and potentially Washington could have continued because it was close to the end of the round.
Yeah,
and I'm not going to argue against the stoppage, but it was like a British stoppage. If you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was. If that same ref had been doing Fury Wilder 1, Fury would have definitely been counted out.
Yeah. Ultimately, because I think the 10th fight is Chris Arreola. there was some back and forth there. But ultimately, with Wilder,
he didn't even knock out Chris Ariola.
Retired.
That was a terrible performance.
Yeah, terrible.
That was really poor.
Let's put it down as terrible. Gerald Washington, the only thing I found entertaining from Wilder from that fight was that, he stopped the fight. It was TKO. It wasn't a stoppage. It was a TKO, but he came out with the windmills. They put the windmill on turbine power. Was that the first or the second domain? This is the second domain. Okay, so that's the second domain. Absolutely not. Luis Ortiz, the first one. Yes, I was entertained. By the Fury. That's 2. Breezley did stop him. Okay, I was entertained. Luis Ortiz, the second one. No, I didn't find entertaining. Good stoppage though. So listen, it seems to me, for the most part, that the entertaining thing about Deontay Wilder is that he stops fights. He generally stops fights. Many of them are TKOs, yes, but he stops fights. It's not his fighting. He's not a beautiful boxer. The thing about him that makes him entertaining is that he stops fights, generally speaking,
against lower level opposition. And even then, he's not scintillating. The actual fighting ain't scintillating. Sometimes he goes life and death with people like Eric Molina.
Oh yeah, he does. And sometimes he gets beat.
To stop Chris Ariola.
And sometimes he gets beat every single round, and then he pulls out a win, a TKO at the end. So it's muddy. The water's muddy because he might not be scintillating, but he does have excitement in his finishing ability.
The thing is, though, Raf, I don't think either of these two fighters are subjected to much criticism. We very rarely hear anything other than justifications for their performance. So we hear this idea that Wilder doesn't care about winning any rounds because he knows he's going to knock you out. And we hear this nonsense about Fury that he fights to the level of his opposition, i.e. Otto Wallin and stuff like that. But we never hear this about Anthony Joshua. It's always, he's terrible. He can never do anything right. Nothing is good enough, ever.
His style does get picked apart. He does get picked apart.
And it was getting picked apart when he was knocking all the tin cans over he was knocking over to start off with. And some of those tin cans were better at quality of opponents than Wilder has fought. There's certainly better quality of opponents that he's knocked out.
Yeah.
Dillian White, first person to knock him out. Povetkin, first person to knock him out. Brazil, first person to knock him out. Knocked out Vladimir Klitschko. Criticised for all of those wins. Criticised for all of them, and yet when we see that other fighters perform at a similar mediocre level, because I'd say Joshua's performances have been underwhelming since that, right? To be honest.
Which one?
Since Klitschko. He's been. Was it Povetkin fight after Klitschko? Yeah. Since Povetkin. Povetkin was a good performance. I'd say that was a good fight. It was back and forth, dramatic stoppage, 7th round against somebody who'd never been stopped before. He'd only been beaten. But since that time, his performances, I would quite happily say, have been underwhelming from my perspective. And I'm not going to make any bones about the fact that I'm a fan of AJ. The next best one after that is the Pulev fight, isn't it? And really, should have finished it in the 3rd. Truthfully.
Well, the referee should have waved it off when Pulev turned his back.
Yeah, but I mean, he was right for the taking still.
Fury has defended. Well, Fury's first defense of a title was What was Fury's first defense?
The Wilder third fight.
Yeah.
First time he defended his title.
The first time he ever defended the first time he ever defended the title was in the third fight was in 2021.
Yeah, he's got three titles.
The first time, let this sink in. The first time Tyson Fury defended a title was in 2021. Let that sink in.
And there's at least two people on Joshua's resume that he comprehensively ducked. Usyk, who Joshua fought twice, and Pulev, who he ducked for the EBU.
Hold on, who was the first defense? It was
Wilder in the rematch. Because that's when he won a title after failing to rematch Vlad. He didn't hold the title until he beat Wilder. So first time he beat Wilder is the first time he held a title prior to beating Vladimir Klitschko. Didn't defend those belts that he took from Klitschko.
Post beating Vladimir Klitschko.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he didn't have the opportunity to defend a belt until he beat Wilder.
He beat Wilder the second time, and he fought Wilder the third time. That was his first defense. Yeah.
And then what's he done? Fight Dillian White and Derek
Chisora.
That's his world title run.
That's his world title run. Those were his defenses. Leon Figures says, remember to hit the like button. Absolutely. Hit the like button. I for one am thoroughly enjoying the panel's music. Excellente. Much appreciation.
Leon's a very intelligent man.
He is. Let's have a look. I still think Hellenius took a dive against Wilder. He may have done. Just like Scott did. He may have done. I've looked at that punch. I did a video on that punch. If you want to check it out, check it out.
I don't want to talk about things I can't prove.
No. That's why I'm not going to dwell on it. I haven't seen Yui lately. Peter said he solved his health issues. Interesting to see what a fully fit Yui Fury can do.
He can ensure that if you're struggling to get off to sleep, he can help you with that.
He can what?
He's like a cure for insomnia.
You can watch a video of himself. Okay, for me, competitive fights are entertaining. Yeah, it's great to see fighters go balls to the wall, but competitive fights, highly skilled, are good too. Yep. I agree with that. If one guy's
all the fighters that we've just discussed, I'd like to know which one Big Boys would like to highlight as being competitive.
From who?
Well, we've just been through Fury and
the first fight was competitive. Fury and Wilder.
Yeah. But I'd be interested to see if there's any that we've not highlighted as entertaining that he'd put forward as entertaining.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I'd listen to that
because I mean, to be frank, I could quite easily be as ruthless as Joshua's last 10 fights as well.
Last 10 fights. Yeah, we could do that. If one guy is getting beat up all night, that's boring. Yeah, that's boring to me.
I enjoyed every second of Wilder getting a pacing off Fury.
That was good. That was very entertaining. He looks like he's finding his man strength. You're talking about Yui Fury, or what makes you say that though?
I think that's a sarcastic remark.
He's smiling. He's laughing. He's laughing.
We've been hearing about him coming into his man strength for a very long time, and I think he's over 30 now, isn't he? Yeah.
For real. Watching Joshua Hellenius frustrated me. Yep. Same. Not entertained by either. No.
Well, I think we've comprehensively said he looked gun shy, tentative, overly cautious. But it was a cerebral, not entertaining performance.
Yeah, I wasn't entertained. I haven't summoned up the courage to watch it again yet.
I think that's fair as well. I mean, the Takam stoppage was suspect.
Yeah, it was. Was it really necessary? I don't think it was really necessary.
I'd compare it to the Johan Duhaupas stoppage that Wilder's got.
Yeah, it wasn't really necessary.
There wasn't necessary going down.
It wasn't necessary. Old man Povetkin nearly landed a money shot in round 1 against Joshua. I mean, old man Povetkin can old man Povetkin can land a money shot on pretty much any damn body.
That's pretty much
Body.
the same punch he landed and slept Dillian White with several fights after.
It's pretty much that same fight. Did you see Vladimir Klitschko against Povetkin? Did you see that fight, Special K? Vladimir Klitschko fouled him for almost every second of every round. He's grabbing him around the back of the head and pulling him down. Do you know why? Because he knew the threat of Povetkin. Povetkin could do that. Povetkin could do that to any man.
In terms of actual skill in delivering punches, I'd challenge anybody to find that someone more skillful than Povetkin.
I challenge them too. And you see, this is what this speaks to. This speaks to being almost downgraded because you took on the better quality of opponent. So now, if Fury fought Povetkin and he shook Povetkin, then you'd say, okay, well, okay, so he shook Fury. But if he also fought Deontay Wilder and he shook Deontay Wilder, which is entirely probable and possible, then you say, well, okay, he hit all of the top guys with a shot that they knew about, and it would be okay. But because these other guys didn't fight Povetkin, and these other guys kept their chins miles away from him because they never fought him, then you can't have that. You can't say that. But if they had fought, then it's entirely probable, not even possible, but probable that Povetkin would have had a moment. But you see, so now Joshua gets penalized because he fought the higher caliber fighters, including the higher caliber over Deontay Wilder and Fury. So now the guy gets penalized for doing what people say they want, which is for fighters to fight the highest caliber opponents. But when you do that and you get touched for a second, then you get criticized for it.
Well, my argument.
How do you square that circle for me? You want fighters to fight high caliber guys. If fighters consistently fight high caliber guys, then the high caliber opponent will have a moment or two. But then you go and criticize the guy for being touched by a high caliber fighter. How does that really make sense?
Well, there's two things with this, Raf. Because first of all, Povetkin did land his money shot on Joshua.
Mm.
And yes, he was visibly hurt by that shot. However, he got through the round and then he went on to knock him out and control the fight pretty much from there on in. After this happened, Povetkin landed the same shot on the #1 WBC contender and mandatory for the heavyweight title of the world and clean slept him.
Yeah.
So we hear no end about how bad Joshua's chin is. But the facts are, nobody really wants to get in the ring with Povetkin, and when they do, they especially do not want to get punched by him. Vladimir Klitschko being the best example of that.
It's the best example. Go and watch the Klitschko. Go and watch Vladimir Klitschko versus Povetkin. Go and watch that fight. He's holding Povetkin all night long.
And yet Joshua takes the punch, is visibly shaken but doesn't go down, and then stops him, and we had no end but criticism.
For real. Yeah. What can you do? What can you do? So in a sense, it shows that Deontay Wilder's approach is more appreciated by the masses.
No,
fight mid-tier guys who make you look better than you are, and then nobody can come and say, "Oh, look what Povetkin did to him." So in effect, and I'm not criticizing you, Special K. I'm not criticizing you as an individual, but I am offering some level of criticism to the fans en masse, because you say you want top guys to fight the top guys, but when the top guys fight the top guys and and one of the top guys has a moment against another top guy, you criticize the guy who got touched. But if you're fighting the top opponent, you're going to get touched. But you don't criticize the guys who aren't fighting the top guys because they're not getting touched by other top guys. So it's like, what do you want? This
what
is
they want, Raf, is what you've said. They want their favourite fighter to fight opposition that are never going to put them in any danger, so they can continue to say that is the best fighter without ever having to prove it.
Evidently so. Evidently so. So it seems like the Nazis don't want the top guys. They don't. They say they do, but they don't want the top guys to fight the top guys. They don't want it. They don't want it.
And
that's the truth.
Realistically, when you look at Wilder and Fury, their whole status and everybody's perception of how good they are is really based on them fighting each other.
Yeah.
Because we haven't, particularly with Fury, we haven't really got an adequate measure.
Well, he really fights the top guys, though. That's why.
No, but I mean, if you're really objective about it, he knocked out somebody that Povetkin had already KO'd, and yet Joshua gets no credit for riding that punch. And Joshua had already KO'd and had already been put down several times. And then a trilogy of Derek Chisora, a guy that had already beaten twice. In the last more than 5 years, what is it? It's getting on for like 6 years, 7 years?
Since when? Since when? Since what?
Since he fought Vlad. What's that, 2016?
I mean, what year was that? Hold on a second.
215?
I think it was 215. Well, let me confirm.
Because that's 8 years ago.
I remember watching that fight in a bar. We got there a bit late. Anthony Joshua. Yeah, what are you doing up there?
Don't go again.
Okay. Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. He's going with the Glaswegian girl. Anyway.
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Glaswegian girl. Yeah, what year? Vladimir Klitschko, 2017.
Okay.
January,
that's
February,
6 years ago.
April 2017. Yeah. 6 years ago.
6 years ago, he fought Vlad. Since then, the best opponents that he's got on his resume are Wilder.
Oh, Lord.
William White.
Oh, Lord. Why you come so late? Why you coming late?
You told me to come, and here I am.
No, I told you to come at 9 p.m. It's now 10:45 p.m. when the show.
It's 5:42 p.m. where I'm at, and I just got off of work, so there's that.
Okay. Just got off of work. Fair play. What was this? Hold on a second. I'll talk to you in a second. Sorry, I cut you off there. What was the comment I was looking for? Just here, just where, just there.
I think that's fair what Special K is saying there, though. But I do
it's there on this. It's there.
The point that we were making is valid generally, in that he gets no credit for taking the punch and no credit for the win.
But Special K, you're saying that nobody was criticizing. Listen.
No, I think he just means himself. I just think he's referring to himself.
We have been criticizing Joshua here. And what the point that I'm making is that you said that he got touched by Povetkin. But the point that I make, and that's fair, but the point that I'm making is that the other guys didn't fight him. If he'd fought the other guys, then you'd probably be saying, well, he touched Joshua, he touched Wilder,
that's a half truth.
He touched Fury.
That's a half truth, and I can't even believe you said that, because Deontay Wilder went to Russia to fight Povetkin.
He didn't go to Russia. He stopped.
He didn't get past the UK.
He didn't touch down in Russia.
He didn't get past the UK. And
he didn't touch down in Russia.
Okay.
And he lost
Povetkin popped out for PEDs. Wilder. Hold on. If you go into the story, to the whole thing, Povetkin popped top for PED, and Wilder still tried to fight him even after that. It was the sanctioning bodies that shut it down.
He didn't.
He didn't try and fight him.
He was training. He was training with the.
He was training in the UK.
He was training in the UK with the David Hayes gym, and as soon as he heard the word, he hopped on
Well,
first
it's more
fight,
to it than that.
he hopped on the
Okay,
first.
let's make this simple.
He hopped
No,
on
no,
the, he hopped
hold
on
on.
the
Let's
He
make
first.
this
He
real
hopped
simple.
on the
lost the
first
court
plane.
case.
I'm
He
hearing a
hopped,
bunch of
he hopped
excuses.
on the first plane
Okay.
out of Gatwick Airport in London and
Mhm.
found his ass back in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. At the
So
first
And
opportunity.
let's not go with the
Tony,
excuses.
what
Let's go
was
with
the
the
actual
facts. Here's a
PED
fact.
top for?
Fact.
What
Yes
was it,
or no?
Tony?
Is this a fact? Is this a fact? Yes or no? Povetkin popped top for PEDs for that fight. Yes or no?
No.
Yeah.
So
No,
how you
it's
going to
not,
that against
no, it's
Wilder?
not actually a fact.
Yes and no. Yes and no.
It's
It was
not a fact.
Ostarine. It was Ostarine.
No, it wasn't
and-
Ostarine, Raf, it was not Ostarine. It was meldonium.
Oh,
And it was a recently banned substance that he had an adverse finding for, that he had a clean test before and afterwards. And it's also true that Wilder lost the court case. The problem with it is, subsequently after that test, adverse finding, which is what it was, and Wilder actually lost the court case for not
No, he
fighting
didn't.
him.
No, he didn't.
Wilder
So-
actually lost the court case
Okay,
for not
go ahead.
fighting
he lost
him.
the court
Tony.
case. We covered it,
You're
and I can
gonna
bring it.
tell the story, tell it accurately,
Go ahead,
I'll bring it up
finish
for you.
so I
and
can expose the lie.
and then, when Povetkin was ordered to fight Stavern for the mandatory to face Wilder, that's when he tested positive for Ostarine and got a ban.
Okay.
Those are the facts.
Okay,
Those
no.
are the actual
Okay,
facts, and that's
okay,
why
done,
he
done,
lost in
done.
court for not taking the fight.
All right, that is not true. So this is what happened. Povetkin lost to Wilder in court, okay? First and foremost, there was 2 court cases about 2 different things, all right? The case that Wilder lost had to do with them putting money aside in some type of trust for when the fight happened. Wilder's team would not release the money. So because of that, he lost the case and they had to release the money back to Povetkin. Wilder's team was arguing that it was funds lost for the fight not happening. 2 different court cases. Wilder won 1, Povetkin won 1. It had nothing to do with the fight. It had to do with money.
Okay. Well,
So did he have an adverse finding for meldonium, and was he actually found to have failed a PED test for that finding or not? Because he wasn't. And that is why he was ordered to fight Stavern for the mandatory. That's why he was ordered to fight Stavern for the mandatory. And that is when he actually popped dirty. And that is actually when he got a ban. And that's why he ended up fighting Drew Haupas. And that is why Stavern was classed as a mandatory when he fought him.
facts.
So do you want me to post a link right now from ESPN? Whenever Povetkin failed his drug test against Deontay Wilder, he was suspended for 8 months and had to pay a fine of $250,000. I'll put that link in the chat.
Yeah, put it in the chat, because I can produce more links as well. Why was he ordered?
Bottom line is this. The bottom line is this. I don't care about the court case. The fact of the matter is this.
We weren't even talking about this. You brought this up.
One at a time. One at a time.
He keeps talking over me as I'm talking sentences. The fact of the matter remains, Povetkin failed a PED test. That is not Deontay Wilder's fault. So that goes out the fucking window.
Well,
okay, so what I'm saying is that there was initially an adverse finding, yes, but ultimately, Povetkin was found innocent. Ultimately, I see it. I see the thing there. I'm not saying that there was not an adverse finding. There was an adverse finding, but ultimately, Povetkin was exonerated. So
no, he wasn't. He had an 8-month ban. After that 8-month ban was up, then he fought again. He was not exonerated. What are you talking about?
Tony, you're actually mistaken. The reason that he was given the go-ahead to fight Stavern for the mandatory position to Wilder's belt was because he was cleared for the meldonium incident, and it was in the testing for the fight against Stavern that he popped for Ostarine, and that's actually what he got his 8-month ban for.
Okay, Tony?
I just linked the article that tells you when he got popped hot, it was for the Deontay Wilder fight. What the WBC did was $250,000 fight.
He
Oh my
had
God, I'm not gonna
adverse
argue this.
findings for meldonium.
Bottom line is this, and there's no getting around it. He popped for a PED, whether you like it or not. He popped for a PED. The fight didn't happen because of PED. Period.
The facts are he had an adverse finding for meldonium, something that had recently been put on the ban list, and they didn't know what the half-life of it was. He also tested clean either side of the dirty test. Therefore, the fight against Wilder pulled out of as soon as that was announced. He then went on to pursue a court case and was ordered to fight Stavern to decide the mandatory for the WBC title. At that point, he failed a PED test comprehensively for a banned steroid and was then received an 8-month ban. That's what happened. And this is all elementary because you've not really picked up on what we were talking about. We were saying, what we were actually saying was Anthony Joshua doesn't get any credit for beating Povetkin, and that after Anthony Joshua fought Povetkin, he went on to knock out Dillian White. And when Vladimir Klitschko fought Povetkin, he leaned all over him because actually Povetkin does hit hard. That was the point of the conversation, Tony.
Okay, so we'll get to that. In the same article that I sent you, Maldonia had been on the ban list since 2008. When he was going to fight Wilder was in 2017. It didn't just get put on the list. It had been on the list for 9 years. So if a substance being on, hold on. If a substance being on a list for 9 years is just getting on the list, then yeah, I guess 9 years ago it just got put on the list. As far as credit goes, I don't know who takes away from AJ's wins. Like I don't know where you're getting people that give him credit for beating him.
Tony, I'm just going to post an article disputing what you've said because it was actually as of the 1st of January 2016 that the World Anti-Doping Agency put meldonium on the list. So it's not 2008 at all. I'm going to post the link because you're incorrect. I think there's a large amount of misinformation that you've been subjected to. And it's fine. Nobody's actually really making a huge deal about Wilder not fighting Povetkin. The whole point of the conversation is Joshua never gets any credit for it.
Okay.
And if you don't want to give him any credit for it, that's fine. Because all we're actually saying is that Povetkin does actually hit hard. That was the point. And I think you missed the start of the conversation.
Okay. So
I'm going to post the link for when meldonium was put on the ban list.
Well, no.
Which according to WADA was
what I'm saying. No. What I'm saying is that I'm not going through articles of links. So what I'm suggesting is that anybody got any links to post them in the. How do we do this?
Just put it in your chat, Raf.
Post them in the chat
on YouTube. That's what we do.
Post them in the chat, and people can go through them. Post them in the chat after the show. And people can go through those articles at their leisure if they so wish.
Okay, so after the show ends, I'll put the ESPN article that I already put in your private chat. But here's the thing, and this is what's
no. I haven't finished what I'm saying because I'm trying to get the thing back on course. So that's with the articles. Now, after the show, post them up in the permanent chat. Fine. Now, what am I saying after that? Okay. Well, you probably won't be able to do that. So post them in the private chat, and I will post them up later. I'll post them up later. Okay, I'll do that. So post them in the private chat, and I'll post them up in the permanent chat. Okay, now so we're gonna get away from that because people can go through as much time or as little time as they want to reading those articles, but that was not the core issue. What I said was if Povetkin had fought Deontay Wilder and had fought Tyson Fury as opposed to just Anthony Joshua, then it's highly probable that he could have given both of those guys a moment where they knew they'd been hit. So what I'm further saying is that it appears that we've been through the resumes of both Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Deontay Wilder. We've looked at their last 10, 11 fights. And by far, the resume that stands out, the guy who has fought the stiffer opposition consistently throughout those last 10, 11 fights is unquestionably Anthony Joshua. So it's, and here's the crux of the matter. It appears that the better caliber of fighter that you fight, the more criticism you receive. So de facto, that means that fighters, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, who typically have fought middle of the pack, low ranking caliber guys, they get less criticism for doing so. So de facto, you're better off. You get less criticism for fighting low ranking guys than you do high ranking guys.
Okay. I don't understand because, as I said, and John obviously didn't hear it, I never heard anybody say that the Povetkin win for AJ was not a good win. I've never heard anybody criticize that win and say it was a bad win. I've never heard anybody say that Povetkin was over the hill. Every person I've ever heard talk about that fight said that it was a good win for AJ. He went through adversity because he fought through having a broke nose after getting hit by the same uppercut that knocked out Dillian White. So I don't know where you get that he gets no credit. As far as
I said he gets criticism. He gets criticism for getting touched.
No. I was talking to John.
Okay.
To John.
Right,
his exact words. Also, on top of that, even if we go off of, and we're not going to stick on this, even if we go off of the hypothetical link that you haven't posted yet, and it's not 2008 like the link that I posted to you, John, here's the problem. You just stated that the substance was banned in 2016. The issue, the fight for Povetkin and Wilder was it summer of 2017. So that means it had already been banned for more than a year, which means it wasn't just recently banned. It wasn't banned a day or two before, a month or two before. It was banned over a year before that. So that excuse goes out the window. But again, I agree with you. If you go by resumes at the heavyweight division, nobody has a better resume than Anthony Joshua. Hands down, he has the best. He did the hard thing. I mean, he's got a better record than Usyk, who beat him, because AJ did the hard thing. He collected one belt after another, fought 3 different champions, took 3 different belts.
Well, there's the link from Wilder detailing when the Meldonium was banned and why they gave people a period of grace because they didn't know how long the half-life was. That's from Wilder, not ESPN. So if you want to have a read of the official document dating when they were banned was, what the rules were because of the half-life of the substance, I've just put it in this chat as well as the one on the YouTube thing. At no point have I said you didn't give Anthony Joshua any credit for beating Povetkin.
Okay, so, and I reiterate, I'm trying to get away from the drug thing because that's irrelevant.
I've tried to highlight that wasn't the purpose of the conversation.
Yeah, I understand that. Bruce, I'm reiterating that is irrelevant to this conversation. I'm talking to you, Tony. It's irrelevant to the conversation. Irrelevant.
It is, but facts are relevant. And in the article that he posted, it said the drug was banned in 2015. So that makes it even worse. But we can move on because it's about it.
I would love to move on. I would love to move on because that wasn't. It's something we've talked about many times. I think almost every channel has talked about it. It's nothing new. We've talked about it. People come out with different slants, and we really weren't talking about it. And I don't want to talk about it because you can do a whole show.
I didn't bring it up.
I know you didn't.
And I was specifically attacked for not knowing my facts, and I produced a document from Wilder substantiating what I was saying. Not from ESPN, from Wilder.
From Wilder. That's a more credible source. So, but I'm just stipulating, Tony, that that's not what we're talking about. We've talked about that to death previously. So,
I got you. My only point was you cannot hold Wilder and I fighting Povetkin against Wilder.
I never held it against him. You misheard me. I said if Wilder
partway through a conversation.
I said if Wilder and Fury had fought Povetkin, and he would have most probably touched them too. And
Right.
I will reiterate. I'll just
But
reiterate.
that's a fallacy, though. That's the problem. What you're saying, the if is the fallacy, because there would have been no if had Povetkin not popped hot for PEDs. He was going to fight him. They were signed to fight. It is Povetkin's fault why the fight did not happen. I agree with you. Povetkin would have been a hard fight for Deontay Wilder, especially being that his inside game had been so weak before he got with Malik Scott.
So why are you taking this so personally when you agree with it?
I'm
We
not-
haven't levelled any criticism against Wilder for not fighting him specifically. We've also said that if Fury had fought Povetkin, he would have faced some challenges and potentially got buzzed. That's it. So you
Right.
agree with us. I don't know why you're getting so emotional about it. There's no reason to. We're not sitting here saying it's a fallacy or Deontay Wilder's a coward because he didn't fight Povetkin. That's not what we were saying. It actually started off with the fact that we believe Joshua doesn't get much credit for the fight. Not directing that at you, Tony. I know you're very sensitive, but that's not what we're trying to do.
I'm not the one that's being sensitive because I haven't said anything about you, but you're targeting names towards me as if I'm being sensitive, which I'm not. Now, past that, the only thing I am saying is you cannot use the if factor for Deontay Wilder versus Povetkin because the fact is the fight was going to happen. Povetkin is the reason why it did not happen. Now, if you want to say if Wilder would have fought Klitschko, that's valid. If Wilder would have fought such and such, like Dillian White, that's valid. If Wilder would have fought Joseph Parker, Andy Ruiz, those are valid points. But it's not valid when you're using a person who pops hot for PEDs. Had they not done that, we would have seen the if.
Okay.
So
I'm going to make my statement again.
Yeah, please do, Raf, because it's not about Wilder. It's about
because it was a perfectly valid statement. I'm going to make the last time I'm going to make this statement, and then we're going. If you don't get it this time, we're going to move on. If I'm going to say again, if Povetkin had fought Wilder and Fury, he would have most likely have touched them on the chin, and there would most probably be a visible reaction. But because Povetkin didn't fight Wilder and he didn't fight Fury, he didn't touch him on the chin. So people can criticize and have criticized and do criticize Joshua for showing a response to being touched on the chin by Povetkin. But because he had not fought the other two aforementioned gentlemen, they can't say that about them. So ultimately, the man who fought them is almost being penalized for fighting him. And the guys who fight lower caliber guys who can't trouble their chin so much, they get a pass. So ultimately, when you look at that equation logically, you have to say that the fighters who avoid the top, the best opposition, or the fighters who don't fight the top, the best opposition, they are almost rewarded in terms of a lack of criticism. They get criticized less than the heavy lifters. And that's ultimately what I'm saying.
I disagree with that because we have a prime example of a guy who's fought nothing but a bunch of tomato cans at the welterweight division in Boots Ennis. Whenever he fought Karen, who nobody ever heard of, he got all types of criticism for having a bad showing against a C-level fighter. So you can still get all types of criticism based off of low opposition is how you look in the ring. Now, I do agree with you that the harder your comp is, the likelihoods of you having moments where you look bad will be greater, but the criticism is going to be there nonetheless.
Sorry, who are you referring to in the welterweight division?
Boots Ennis.
Jerron Ennis.
Okay.
Well, no. See, I then disagree with you because your argument there, if I understand you correctly, is you're saying that I'm saying that the more top opposition that you face, the more criticism you will face. It's very simple. And I don't think you could argue against that. You made a point for Boots Ennis. Okay, that's fine. That's one point. But overall, my point still stands. The higher the caliber of opponent you fight, it appears the more criticism will be leveled against you. De facto, therefore, it almost makes sense to do what the Wilder and the Fury do, which is to fight lower ranked opponents generally, middle of the pack guys generally, and the result is you get less criticism.
And that's where you're missing what I'm saying. I'm agreeing, but what you're missing, the whole topic that's going over your head is, yes, as I stated, if you fight harder competition, the chances of you looking bad in those fights is greater than if you fight lower opposition, because it's a harder test. So at a harder test, you have more moments where you could look bad if you're going to. However, we could use Tyson Fury as an example. Tyson Fury fought a guy who was low opposition, and he got blazed with criticism against Otto Wallin. He could not hear the end of it. Like, every news channel in America was talking about how Fury wasn't what he was made out to be because of the bad showing he had against Otto Wallin. So where the contention is I agree. When you fight harder opposition, you have more chances to receive little criticism. But when you fight low opposition and you look bad against that low opposition, the criticism that you receive from looking bad in that is way greater than what you would receive if you fought somebody good.
Okay, Tony. Well, I'm glad you've made that point, because that was the whole reason we were talking about Povetkin in the first place. In that, when you fight better people, you will have moments where you don't look good. It's difficult for us to know here in the UK how much criticism Fury was getting in the States for the Otto Wallin performance, because there were a lot of apologists here who said that Fury fights the level of his opposition. So the level of criticism he received here was not as high as I think it should be. And you could argue that one of the reasons he doesn't want to fight Usyk is because he knows he doesn't do well against southpaws.
And I hate to do this, and I'm going to do this once and only once, and then we're going to move on. But to clarify this once and for all, it's being checked. Official dates. The meldonium ban. Meldonium was banned by WADA on the 1st of January 2016. Wilder versus Povetkin was scheduled for the 21st of May 2016. I don't want to go any deeper into it, but there you have it. There you have it. Okay, so we've established.
Oh my God. Read his link. It literally says it had been added to the monitoring program on 1 January 2015 in the fucking second sentence of the damn article that John posted.
The monitoring list is not the ban list, Tony.
It is on the ban list. When a substance hits the monitoring list, what that means is, no, listen to me. There's two different bans lists. There's in competition and out of competition. When something hits the monitoring list, that means in competition, you cannot take it, but you're free to take it outside of competition. So once it hit the monitoring list, you can no longer take it in competition. When he got caught, he was in competition.
How long is the half-life, Tony? And why was he given a grace period? And it went onto the official ban list that you cannot take it at all. It went onto the ban list that you can't take it at all.
I'm not talking about
January 1st, 2016. And because of the length of the half-life, there was a period of grace because they had to allow people to clear it from the system for when they were allowed to take it. Also, he passed tests before the meldonium adverse finding and after the meldonium adverse finding.
Okay,
Those are
Dillian
the
White
circumstances
never took a
as
PED
to why
either.
he was cleared.
Okay, Dillian White never took a PED either. There's no need for the B sample when he failed going into.
We've been quite clear on this channel that we don't know whether he's taken a banned substance or not, and we think he should go.
No. I'm not talking about this one that just happened. I'm talking about the one before in the Oscar Rivas fight.
Okay,
I'll go one better. We ain't even talking about that because we're not. This show is not.
I love how nobody likes to keep the same energy. I said I don't want to talk about drugs. You said you don't want to talk about drugs, but you brought the drugs back up randomly. 10 minutes.
Tony, we weren't talking about drugs until you came onto the platform.
I thought that we could kill the argument in one shot with that. But evidently, that's not a one-shot kill. So you know what? If I can't get a one-shot kill,
I'll tell you what, Tony, you're right.
I just keep it moving. No, he's not
right.
I'm
happy to tell him he's right.
No, he ain't right. He ain't right. He ain't right. If I can't get a one-shot kill, I'm happy to move on. I will post up the data in this final chat.
We weren't specifically criticizing Wilder for not fighting Povetkin. That was the point of the conversation.
That was not it.
I don't care. I don't care. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Shouted about
we've all agreed, and John, you keep trying to pull it back.
Let's move on.
Let's move. Next time.
Let's move. let's move on. Let's move on.
Yes, Special K. I want a full apology.
Let's move on. Let's move on. Let's move on. Okay. So ultimately we're getting it's criticism, a lot of criticism. Joshua, it appears, gets more criticism than your Fury and your Wilder, who arguably deserve more criticism because they're the ones who primarily pick the low-hanging fruit. But that's not how it works out in the press. Now, I'm happy to say that I watched that fight and I was not enthused. I was not happy with that fight. Joshua's coming up to a fight with Wilder, and I will say quite clearly that I don't think he's ever looked so bad in getting a win. So fair enough. I will say that. I mean, I might be wrong. There might be a fight that I've missed. I might be wrong, but I will say that. I will say that without really researching it too much. But I will say that. But on the other hand, I've seen Wilder lose every round to a Luis Ortiz in the second fight. And he has one moment, he wins one moment with a punch and knocks the guy out. Fair enough. The guy gets back up, but he's counted out. So then what was the worst performance? It was a worse. Wilder's performance was worse. When we've looked at other Wilder performances where he's being beat by middle of the pack guys. And that same energy does not seem to get leveled at Wilder. He seems to get a pass for that. Seems to get a pass for a poor performance. But Joshua, no. Under scrutiny, Malignaggi has the audacity to say that Joshua don't deserve a fight against Wilder. Whereas the idiot that is Malignaggi doesn't seem to understand that it's Joshua. Joshua's blessing Wilder. Wilder's got nowhere to go. Wilder's got nowhere to go in the USA. He can't fight Fury again in the USA because Fury's banned from the USA. Who else is there in the USA to fight? He can't fight Ruiz because Ruiz apparently outpriced himself. So the fool that is Malignaggi doesn't appear to realize that the blessing is coming from Joshua. Joshua's got lots of options. Wilder, what are Wilder's options? Talk to me. Tony Reviews, talk to me.
I mean, I still don't understand how you get that Deontay Wilder gets less criticism than Anthony Joshua when I understand that you're in the UK when people used to call him bum squad because all he fought was low opposition. Like literally they yelled bum squad. Like, so the dude's been getting criticism. He definitely got a lot of criticism. That's why nobody in America thought he could beat Tyson Fury. Nobody thought he could beat him. Whenever that fight was made, everybody believed, because of all the weaknesses that Deontay Wilder shows, that he was going to lose. And in my opinion, he lost all 3 fights. He didn't get a draw in the first one. He lost 10 out of the 12 rounds. The only 2 rounds that he won, he knocked Fury down. And you could argue in the 12th round, Fury came back and won that entire round after being knocked down.
He won the second half of the round.
So again, like, I'm not understanding where you think that Wilder doesn't get the same type of criticism. Maybe it's different in the UK. I don't know, but Wilder's gotten a lot of criticism in America. As far as who he fights next, I mean, that's really hard to say, because the one fight we thought we were going to get was Andy Ruiz. However, Ruiz didn't really want the fight. Then he tried to fight AJ, but then Eddie Hearn said that he did the same thing to them that he did to Wilder, that he overpriced the AJ fight for a late stand-in, that he wanted way too much money. So, again, I don't know who he fights. You have Hrgovic, you have Parker. Outside of that, you know, Zilly Zhang and Joe Joyce, they're tied up. Usyk, Daniel Dubois, they're tied up. You have AJ, who's free. He could fight him. Or big baby Jared Anderson, who just beat Charles Martin. That's a possibility, too. That's a big up-and-coming name from America. So there's people. He could fight PBC. He could fight EFA Ajagba. There's Frank Sanchez. There's a lot of guys in America.
That's small money. Small money. EFA Ajagba, Jared Anderson, even Sanchez. That's small money. That's not.
You gotta understand, though. Hold on. Wait. Pause. Wait a minute. The money that's going to be generated isn't just because of AJ. It's because of Wilder as well.
Oh, sorry. I thought you was talking about. Hold on. Are we talking about Wilder? Those are options you guys.
I was saying options that Wilder could fight.
That's small money.
Right, but those are fights that he could fight. Now, AJ,
but he don't want small money. He don't want small money.
Well, I've never heard him say he didn't want small money because he wanted to fight Andy Ruiz.
Yeah, well, that would be a pay-per-view. Maybe that's the big.
Why didn't the Andy Ruiz fight happen?
Because Andy Ruiz wanted way too much money. Just like whenever Eddie Hearn did an interview, I think it was with
I think more importantly, Tony, the fight itself doesn't generate a lot of money.
Right, but Andy Ruiz wanted like $20, $30 million to fight Wilder, and it doesn't make that much. So if it doesn't make that much, how are you going to pay it? Ruiz did not want to get in the ring with Wilder.
I think Rafi's point is the only fight for Wilder that generates a lot of money is the Anthony Joshua fight.
No, his point, right, that is. But his point was also that Wilder only wants money fights, and that is not evidence of the case, because the evidence shows that he wanted to fight Ruiz, which would not have been a mega fight, which would not have been an Anthony Joshua type money, Tyson Fury type money. So he's willing to fight guys for lesser money.
Hold on, let's not get it twisted. The Ruiz fight would have been a final eliminator for the WBC shot. So if in itself it wasn't a big. Now, first and foremost, I think I suspect Wilder believed with Andy Ruiz's connection with Mexico, Mexico versus the African American. I know that's a big thing in the USA. They could pump it up. They could advertise. They could do a 4-city tour or whatever. Maybe even go to Guadalajara and pump it up and make it somewhat of a money fight. Because Andy Ruiz, he was being spoken of as being the guy, a Mexican guy who's going to get a big following because he's a Mexican guy. So I think that Deontay Wilder, the PBC, looked at that fight. That fight was being talked about for some time. So they do see it as a potentially big money fight. They could turn it. Look at Crawford and Spence. It wasn't. There was no guarantee it was going to be a big money fight. They was hoping that it would be a big money fight, but it exceeded expectations. And likewise, I think Deontay Wilder was taking a page from that playbook, saying, "Hey, it could be an average. We could get an average return for this." But look at Spence and Crawford. They exceeded expectations.
I disagree. I'm in America, and I'm telling you, people want to see the fight, but it's not like people are clamoring to see him fight Andy Ruiz Jr. And a lot of people's mind over here, Andy Ruiz is just walking in and he's a sheep showing up in front of a wolf. So nobody really wants to see it because it's not seen as competitive. So the ticket sales, the pay-per-views would be minimal at best. And that's why Andrew Ruiz priced himself out of the fight, because he wanted more money than what could be generated. Now, on the flip side, you have to look at it like this. And you could say what you want, but since AJ's 3 losses, he does not have the same type of revenue that he used to do. He's not making 30, 40 million a fight. He made 10 million against Franklin, and they struggled to sell out. He made 8 million in his last fight against Hellenius. Now, you could argue that was a late stand-in. However, they still did that fight at the O2 Arena with Dillian White, okay? And they still didn't sell out right away. They claimed they did, and they did an interview 3 or 4 days before the fight. They was like, oh, if you still want to buy tickets, we have them for sale. So that tells you again, AJ went from selling out stadiums, 80 to 90,000, no problem, to can't even sell out 20,000. So his stock is taking a big hit. Now, as far as both of them go, they both fighting each other make the biggest money. There's no bigger fight, in my opinion, commercial value than Wilder versus AJ. They need each other. And
That's
it's
not
so
true. There's a bigger fight than that.
I don't believe there is. AJ versus Fury is not going to be big. It's not going to be big.
What? Are you crazy?
Well, there's a couple of things.
You got to understand something.
Can I have my turn in a minute, Raf? Because
You have your turn now. Have your turn
let
now.
Tony say quite a lot there. And I've got quite a few things to disagree with.
Right. Just let me bring it home, and then you can go all day, because he jumped in and said, what? Here's the problem you got to understand. The whole American market, you're in the UK, I'm in America. I'm telling you, nobody wants to see AJ versus Fury because it's not big like it is in the UK. For y'all, that's a huge fight. For us, we don't care about it because we see AJ as diminished goods. I'm just telling you the truth, especially after
Let's go now.
Yeah.
So first of all, we've got Wilder's word that Andy Ruiz wanted 20 million for that fight. Andy Ruiz has denied that's what he was asking for. So I don't think anybody really knows what he was actually asking for. 100% Anthony Joshua is diminished in terms of his marquee value. However, he seems comfortable with that. He was quite happy to take a substantial cut on his purse to keep the show on. Eddie Hearn gave him the option to take a pay cut, take it off pay-per-view and fight Hellenius, or cancel the event. So clearly, by his own actions, Anthony Joshua is prepared to take fights at a lower level for less money to get to be active. He's comfortable doing that. We've seen that the weekend. I'm not trying to tell you that Anthony Joshua is some massive A-side to Deontay Wilder anymore. We're not trying to make those claims.
I'm not trying to dispute that claim. All I'm saying is the same thing. No. Listen, the same thing.
I haven't actually finished.
The same
you said
thing.
You were going to let me talk, and now you're interrupting. I haven't actually finished. So, as for the Tyson Fury fight, a lot of the value of these fights is determined not by the US market. Anthony Joshua was the highest paid fighter last year because of his 2 fights against Usyk. Nothing to do with the American market. I very much doubt that was even pay-per-view in America on DAZN. Possibly it was. If it was, it wouldn't be $80. The Middle Eastern markets are massive. Anthony Joshua is very popular there. There are other places beyond America where they sell their fights. And 100% Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury would give Anthony Joshua a massive purse. There's no getting away from that. I don't think it would be popular in America. I'm quite happy to believe that that's not the case. However, in terms of revenue generated and purses given, Anthony Joshua was on the Forbes list based on the money that he made in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, that is true. But here's the problem with boxing, and I tried to explain this to somebody else. They didn't believe me, and lo and behold, it came true. The problem with boxing is you're only as good as your last fight. We've seen it all the time. Mayweather beat Oscar De La Hoya. Oscar De La Hoya was the cash cow. Money went away. Now Mayweather became the cash cow. Mayweather, Canelo had their fight. I thought Canelo got embarrassed. But because of that fight, cash cow against up-and-comer, Canelo then became a cash cow. So the revenue can change from fight to fight. The thing is, yes, when AJ fought Usyk, he was on top of the world. He had 3 out of the 4 major titles. There was people deluded enough to think that he could win the rematch, even though he got completely outclassed. And that's why the second one sold so good. But after those 2 losses, his value has plummeted. And that's what happens in boxing. So
we're not disputing anything you've just said there, Tony.
right,
My
but
only real point
is
is that the
we
value of
were
this
agreeing.
fight, the value of these fights is not determined by the American market.
No, the value of this fight is controlled by the Saudi market because those are the ones wanting to overpay for this fight. It has nothing to do with the UK because they're not going to be fighting in the UK. It has nothing to do with America because they're not going to be fighting here. They're going to be fighting in Saudi Arabia. Hold on. Let me finish. They're the ones putting up all the money. My only point was this. AJ, I agree. He has been comfortable not selling out 80 to 90,000 tickets. He has been comfortable making a significant less amount of money than what he used to. My only point was the fact that Deontay Wilder pushed so hard to fight Ruiz shows you that he was comfortable with making less money as well. That was my only point.
No. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to disagree with you.
I didn't see any hard pushing to make that fight. And all I heard was that Deontay Wilder claimed Andy Ruiz wanted 20 million. That's not a verified claim. It's one that also Andy Ruiz has denied.
Well, what I'll say is that you say Deontay Wilder pushed for that fight. Well, I say no, not really, because Deontay Wilder responded. He said, well, it was quite ironic and it was hilarious and it was funny because Deontay Wilder came back and said Ruiz was asking how much money he make. He said, Ruiz, how much money you going to make, Deontay? Now, what was hilarious about that was that damn windmill, that damn American windmill of yours, he had the audacity to go in the DAZN boardroom, get offered in excess of $100 million. And he had the audacity to turn around and ask, well, how much Anthony Joshua gonna make? How much Anthony Joshua gonna make? And then turns down the offer, the best offer of his life. And then a few years later, he comes back and says that Andy Ruiz was asking, how much money are you going to make, Deontay? Don't you see how the tables have turned? Deontay was the one sticking his nose into a next man's business, asking about, well, how much food is going to be on Joshua's plate, rather than being grateful for the best offer of his life thus far, 100 mil, in excess of 100 mil. They have an expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. That means if you're getting a wicked deal, wicked good deal, don't try and look for a fly in the ointment. Take the deal. And that's what he should have done. He didn't do it, and he's been regretting it for the last few years. If he really wanted the Ruiz fight, he would have gone 50-50. Remember the term that he invented? 50-50 or no deal? Yeah. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, they're both the originators of that deal, wanting to stick their nose into AJ's plate. 50-50 or no deal. The guy wasn't even worth he wasn't even 50% a business entity. He's still not 50% a business entity of Joshua. Don't have those sponsorship deals. Don't have those adverts. Don't have the market value, but he wanted 50%. Okay, well, why wouldn't he give 50% to Ruiz if he wanted that fight so bad? They could have gone 50-50 and made something happen.
Because here's the problem. Here's what you're not considering. Deontay Wilder wanted the fight. He offered the fight. He tried to make the fight. But Deontay Wilder fighting Ruiz gains him nothing. He's already number one in the WBC. The WBC mandated Andy Ruiz Jr. to fight Wilder for the mandatory slot. So by Ruiz not accepting the mandatory fight, Deontay Wilder's already in contention to fight for the WBC belt as a mandatory. So the person who had the most to gain would have been Ruiz. He would have taken his money if he would have beat Wilder, which is possible. He could potentially beat Wilder. He beat AJ, so it's not out of the realm of possibilities that he could beat Wilder. And then he would have been the mandatory, and then 9 times out of 10 would have been the mandatory for undisputed by the time it would have been his time to fight for the belts. So Ruiz was the one that had everything to gain. Wilder, all he had to gain was a stay active, stay busy fight. Now, as far as the market value goes, I would agree with you if time didn't reveal that the best thing Wilder did was not have the fight, because the fight with AJ, if it happens in January, like what is proposed, he may end up making more in this one fight with AJ later than he would have in that fight, because that fight was a 3-fight deal, 50 million, 50 million, 20 million. Okay.
Yeah.
This fight alone for one fight may be more than that 120 million with him and AJ.
No. Let's not be ridiculous. Let's not be ridiculous.
We don't know what they're willing to pay.
Let's not be ridiculous.
We don't. Have you seen? Hold on, wait. Have you seen what Skill Challenge has been doing with soccer and PGA?
Let's be level. Let's stay level.
You need to be level.
Let's stay level. Stay level.
You're not gonna answer the question. You're not gonna answer it. I got you.
Let's stay level and be calm. Let's not
There's a few issues.
Let's not overinflate the numbers. Let's be sensible and let's use conservative estimates.
There's a few other issues with what Tony's just said, though, because
what I want to say is that if you look at a marker of around 60 mil, if you look at Deontay Wilder getting around 60 mil potentially, that's fair enough. But you're saying that, but that's only 10 mil more. That's only 10 mil more than what he was offered years ago. Yeah, so that's a marginal. That's marginal, and also it speaks of ambition. It speaks of the ambition of the man, because at the time that fight would have been for undisputed. Now, you, Tony, you just said that he may have made a good decision because he's going to get more now. Oh, get more now. Get more what? Money? Get more money now? Yeah, perhaps. What about the prestige of being undisputed? What about that?
So they're synonymous with themselves, because I can tell you right now, if Anthony Joshua and Wilder fight next, whoever wins will be mandatory for the WBC title. When Tyson Fury and Usyk fight, then whoever wins out of AJ Wilder will be up next for those belts. So they'll be going into undisputed. Now, here's what you got to keep in mind.
No, hold on. That's nonsense. Nonsense.
Let me finish. Can I?
Nonsense. You're reaching in all kind of directions. That is direct route.
The winner is going to be a mandatory for the WBC. That's not a reach. That's a fact.
They had a direct route. If they had fought for the DAZN money, one of them would have become undisputed years ago.
Okay.
Now you're giving me scenarios about how they could potentially move, and maybe one of them could be undisputed. No, that's potential. That's whistling in the wind.
There's a few.
Had they fought back then, one of them would have become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. But you know what? Deontay Wilder walked away from that.
There's more to it than that. Anyway,
so did AJ. They
both Tony.
I didn't even get to finish my statement before he jumped over me, because I
did actually finish his statement, and I was waiting to come in on it
before you jumped in.
You stopped me about the winner gets to undisputed. You didn't even let me finish my point, and he was like, "Oh no, it wasn't, because they could have done it way back when." All I wanted to say was about the finances. And John, I promise you, I will not talk over you again. I just want to say this: you have to understand about why I'm stating that they may end up more with this one fight than Wilder would have or AJ would have, because AJ also walked away from $50 million. So they both walked away on 2 different occasions. However, the Saudis just signed Messi to soccer for 3 years. They gave him $1.6 billion. They have been doing this to the PGA Tour. They're making their own league for golf. They're making their own league for soccer. They've been overpaying for everything because they want to take over sports. They want to be the mecca of sports. So it is a strong possibility that in this fight, based off the evidence of what Saudi has been paying, that they're going to make more, AJ included, is going to make more for this fight than they would have before. John, you can have it all day.
No, before we go to John, though, are you saying that Deontay Wilder is a prophet?
What I'm saying is the Saudis want this fight really badly, so badly that they flew to AJ's last fight.
I'm asking you, are you telling me that 4 years ago, Deontay Wilder prophesied the influx of money coming in from Saudi, and so he made a calculated decision not to take the DAZN money, but wait until his prophecy had been fulfilled by the Saudis? Because if you're telling me that, that's cool. But if you're not telling me that, then that's not cool. If you're telling me that that 4 years ago Deontay Wilder prophesied that the Saudi money would come into boxing, and that's why he turned down the money, then cool, I guess, to an extent. But if you're not telling me that, then that's still not cool. And it's still not cool even now because he walked away from Undisputed. But anyway, it's John's turn.
Well, the real trouble I've got with what Tony's actually saying is, when the DAZN offer was on the table for Wilder, it was over 3 fights, which totaled 120 million. So what you're saying is you could make more money from one fight. A fundamental problem with that is there will not be a rematch clause on this fight, but there was a rematch clause on the table for Wilder before. So if Wilder loses, he only makes 60 million, and he doesn't get to fight for Undisputed.
Boom.
If he'd have lost to Joshua, he would have had 2 fights for Undisputed because there would have been a rematch clause on the DAZN.
Yeah.
The other problem that you've really got, which is huge, which you're just completely ignoring, Tyson Fury and Usyk aren't fighting anytime soon. That fight hasn't been signed. So there's a high probability and a good possibility that all that happens is that the winner of the AJ and Wilder fight, should it take place in Saudi, fight for the WBC title only, because they'll be called as the mandatory. The mandatory is over a year since Tyson Fury would have had 2 voluntary fights since he last fought for a mandatory. So there's a high probability that actually all that happens is you get 1 fight for 60 million, then you fight for the WBC title. That's it. And if you lose, you're pretty much done. And that probably goes for AJ too, whichever one it is. So compared to what was on the table with DAZN, which was 3 fights for 120 million and 2 opportunities to become undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, plus they were both younger and fresher at the time. If Deontay Wilder had won those fights, had won both of those fights and left the DAZN 3-fight deal as undisputed champion, what would his marquee value have been all this time? How much money would he have left on the table from being undisputed? So you're talking about a lot of if, buts and maybes, but that's the biggest if, but, and maybe. If he'd have believed in himself and he'd beaten Joshua twice and left his own, because I think they were going to pay him 20 million for the Brazil fight to fight his mandatory just to get him on the platform.
Yeah.
How much would he have been worth as undisputed champion? How much would his fights have been worth?
And I agree with you that that's a big if, but you are leaving out the biggest part. Yes, Deontay Wilder walked away from a 3-fight deal. However, prior to that, before that, AJ walked away from $50 million. AJ hold on. AJ got.
I'm not going over this with you right now, Tony. You actually said that Wilder was better off. You said they were both better off.
This is what's so crazy. I let y'all talk, and then the minute I talk, you jump over me. But you asked me to
make your 50 million
statement. Because here's what you're going to try to refute, and here's what you're going to try to say. That there was never a $50 million offer to AJ, when AJ's the one that ran his mouth saying, "Oh, I'll fight Deontay Wilder for $50 million," and then the offer came to him. Now, Eddie Hearn, hold on, pause. Eddie Hearn admitted that the $50 million was sent to them. Admitted it. So now AJ gets a pass for walking away, but Wilder doesn't get a pass for walking away. They both walk away. They're both guilty of it.
Listen. No, it was. I can't believe we're going to talk about this again, but I'll do it for a few seconds only. It was an email. It was a bogus offer from the start. Fish Eyes approached BT Sport, a channel that AJ could not have performed on because he had an exclusive deal with Sky. So Fisheyes approached BT Sport and said, do the numbers on this. Could we give AJ 50 million? Can we do the numbers? Do the numbers. And they came back and said, well, if we do this, if we do that, if we do the other, yeah, maybe we could give him 50 mil. So it was a hypothetical figure because I repeat, Joshua could not have performed on BT Sport. So it was always just a hypothetical figure. Okay. And then
Go ahead.
And then for the first time in the history of boxing, the fighter himself, not the promoter, not the manager, but the fighter himself goes on social media and says, hey, AJ, you said you wanted 50 million. We got 50 million for you. Yeah. And then Eddie Hearn says, cool. Well, I'm flying out to America. I'll stop over with Shelly Finkel. We'll have a meeting. We'll look at the contract and we'll talk about it. Shelly Finkel comes back and says, no, you have to accept the offer and then we'll talk. It was a cockamamie, hypothetical figure, load of crapola.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with what you just said.
There isn't a problem.
Eddie Hearn out of his own mouth right now, and I hate the channel. I don't watch his content, but I have to listen to what Eddie says. Eddie said out of his own mouth, he saw the 50 million. The 50 million was really there to a guy named Blue Blood Sports, who I can't stand.
Blue Blood Sports is full of
You need to send the link to that video because there's the biggest overwhelming problem with this whole 50 million issue is why did Deontay Wilder verbally accept an offer for 14 million from AJ instead of the 50 million? Eddie Hearn sent the contract across. They sat on the contract for 2 weeks and then the Povetkin mandatory got called. So if the 50 million was so real, why did Wilder and Finkel turn around and accept 14 million from Hearn?
Here's what I'm going.
Because you're saying he walked away from the money, but what ended up happening was Eddie Hearn was the only person to send out a contract through those negotiations. So a social media call out and an email from a fighter to Eddie Hearn is not a contract. Eddie Hearn asked for a contract and was told he couldn't have one. He had to verbally accept the offer. Then, when they didn't verbally accept the offer and they wouldn't have a meeting with Hearn, they turned around and accepted a $14 million offer from Hearn, and Hearn sent the contract. They then sat on the contract. What if the 50 million is so real and Joshua's walking away from the fight? Why did Finkel verbally accept the offer from Eddie Hearn, then asked for the contract to be sent, and Hearn actually went on to send it? The reason all of that happened was because the 50 million wasn't real, Tony. It was there was no. It just wasn't real. It's been debunked by so many.
While I was talking, what I'm telling you is
so much evidence.
You can go.
You can substantiate what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh!
It's
you can go. I don't have to substantiate anything because Eddie Hearn is going to do it for me. Eddie Hearn is going to tell you out his mouth. Eddie Hearn, literally, Eddie Hearn. Oh my gosh! So you want to keep believing your fucking lies? You don't want to believe what Eddie Hearn said on video. I got you. You don't care what Eddie Hearn said on video. Okay, cool.
I don't believe that you
carry on, Tony. Carry on,
Tony. I don't believe that you have it.
Carry on.
In the same way that you said, go and get your evidence, please, because there
ain't no evidence. There ain't no evidence. But Tony,
no, I want him to go and get it because he says
no. There ain't no evidence. There ain't no evidence because it's a hypothetical figure. It's it didn't exist, so there is no evidence. There is no evidence.
I know he cannot produce the evidence.
But Tony,
he also started off by saying Maldonian was banned in 2008.
But let Tony carry on because we're coming to the end of the show. Tony, carry on. Say what you're saying. Say what you're saying, please, Tony.
We then found out in the article that I posted, you had said 2008 by Wada. And then we also found out by the own article that you said in 2016, it wasn't. It was 2015 when it was put on there for in competition.
Can we
So
not talk about
we
that?
know you were wrong. So if you're gonna say I'm wrong, admit that you were wrong. Anyways, moving past that. All I'm saying is on Blue Blood's channel, the video is old as shit. You can hear Eddie say out of his own fucking mouth that he saw the proof of funds, which means the money was there. So if you don't believe what Eddie says out of his mouth, then you can say you don't believe what Eddie says out of his mouth. But the fact is, he said he saw the proof of funds. Period.
I don't know about that. No, that's nonsense. That's imaginary money. I don't know about that.
All we've done is ask you to produce it.
I don't know about that. Yeah, you're gonna have to produce that, but don't worry, don't do it now. Don't do it now because you're coming to the end of the show. You know, we're coming to the end of the show. I'm just trying to figure out a way that we can tie this thing up in a neat bow. Tie it up in a neat bow. Okay, so John Daly, your final words, please.
Anthony Joshua looked gun-shy and tentative against Selenius. It took him a long time to find the right hand. I don't think that is adequate performance to confidently predict him to beat Wilder. Wilder's also been tremendously inactive and is coming off a first round stoppage of the same person and 2 defeats. I think this makes it an extremely interesting fight. I hope it gets made. I've got it as a 50-50 fight.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And those were the words. I used to say that first, by the way, and those were the words. You know, somebody else jumped on it, but I'm pretty damn sure that was the first one to say, and those were the words. But then when I realized somebody else jumped on my thing, I just stopped saying it. But you see how naturally that came to me because I was saying that first. I'm pretty damn sure, and those are the words of John D. Lee. Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Highly entertaining. Tony.
My bad. I was looking for the video for him, but I see he's gone. I was just going to let him hear Eddie Hearn say out of his mouth. Like, there's no more proof that you need than hearing the man say it out of his mouth. I'm not like that. That's the be all end all.
I got a community. How do you send me? Because only mods can really post shizzle up. So I don't really know how you can send me.
It's not a big deal. All you got to do is type in proof of funds, Eddie Hearn, Blue Blood. And like I said, I don't believe anything Blue Blood does because he does a lot of erroneous.
No, I've got the solution. All you do.
If you hear Eddie say something out of his mouth, that cannot be fake. That's all I'm saying.
Hold on. Well, I've got the solution. If you find that video, you just literally copy the title, highlight and copy the title, and then post it in the permanent comment section in this. So it won't be the link, but it will be the exact title. You'll just copy and paste it, and then people will be able to copy and paste the title and find the video if at some point you find the video. And that's all cool in the gang, but it's kind of irrelevant because intelligence, we know that it was a you may not know over there, but we know over here that it was a hypothetical figure that was asked for by Fish Eyes to BT Sports. They said, crunch these numbers, see if we can offer Anthony Joshua 50 mil. But they could never have offered Anthony Joshua 50 mil because Anthony Joshua had an exclusive deal with Sky.
So did Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder had an exclusive deal with PBC whenever he tried to fight. So
it was a bullshit offer all the way around the board.
What I'm saying is when Wilder went to the meeting for the $120 million, he was already under contract with the PBC exclusive deal with Fox Sports. It was exclusive. Just like AJ was exclusive to Sky, Wilder was exclusive to Fox. So at the end of the day, they both were exclusive to people. So again, I will restate with what I started with. In my opinion, they both walked away from the fight on 2 different occasions. But at the end of the day, we're about to get the fight, hopefully, and they're going to make more money now than they would have the first time. So it is what it is.
So no, that's nonsense. Joshua didn't walk away from the 50 million offer. The 50 million offer was always bogus. It's a bogus offer. I explained to you how it's bogus. It came from BT Sports. Joshua was on Sky Sports.
Got you.
And so he could
let me ask you this. So it's
always a bogus
I'll
offer.
agree with you. I'll agree with you. Okay, it's a bogus offer because of those facts. Okay, so check this out. If you are signed to the PBC for all your fights, okay, how do you fight for the zone for 3 fights without Al Heyman's permission?
How do you do what?
Okay, you're exclusively signed to Fox Sports through PBC, okay? You're Al Heyman's fighter. You belong to him. So how do you sign a new contract to fight for the zone for 3 fights without Al Heyman blessing off on it?
How do you do that?
You can't. So in both cases, neither guy could do it.
No.
Oh my God.
What? No.
You're about to end your show. You have a good day. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole.
Wilder said he was a free agent. Wilder. OMG. You see, I just needed me a little alone time to kill this thing. I just needed me a little alone time. What did I say that was wrong? Tony, what did I say that was wrong? Deontay Wilder has proclaimed himself to be a free agent for years. Why is everybody gone quiet? Is everybody in shock? What's going on? Wilder proclaimed himself to be a free agent for years. So of course he could have fought on other platforms. He was a free agent. He was his own boss. Yeah, he worked in partnership with the PBC. He was not owned by PBC. So he could have fought anywhere he wanted to fight. So I don't know why you just left so abruptly, Tony. You didn't even give me your final thoughts. How are you going to leave so abruptly? Did I say something wrong? Did I say something wrong, Tony? Tony, you didn't even give me your final words. Yeah, it's getting late over here. It's 7 minutes to midnight. Well, yeah, come on, Tony. You shouldn't have left like that, Tony. You shouldn't have left like that because don't say bad things about Tony, people, because it's these days it's very rare, unfortunately, for me to get good USA debaters. Are scared off the whole of the LDBC. They don't want to come. They don't want to come see me. What's Tony saying? It's pointless debate. Your logic. How is my logic flawed? You said that Deontay Wilder couldn't fight here, there, or there. What I'm telling you is that Deontay Wilder for years has proclaimed himself to be a free agent. A free agent. He works with PBC, not for PBC. That's not flawed logic, my friend. He works with PBC, not for PBC. And what's changed? Are you saying that now that he can? What's he going to fight on now? Isn't he going to be fighting on the zone now? He's going to be fighting on the zone now. And he's still the free agent that he claimed to be back in the day. He's still the free agent he claimed to be back in the day. He's going to be fighting on the zone, is he not? Is he not, Tony? You see what I mean, Tony? So the logic was not flawed. The logic was not flawed. And if you want to gracefully disagree, then that's cool. I'm cool with that. But don't just cut like that. Don't just cut and leave without giving me your final words, Tony. Come on now. It's a tradition over here at the RDCR. Didn't he just fight on ESPN? On a joint PPV? You didn't say it was a joint, so it don't count. Okay. Well, he's going to be fighting on the zone, isn't he? So what's different now to then? Come on, Tony. You can't leave the people in suspense like that. How you going to do that? How you going to do that, Tony? AJ asked for 50 million. He was given the 50 million that he asked for, and he walked away. End of story. It was a bogus money that he could not accept, Tony. He was exclusive to Sky, Tony. Come on, Tony. Wilder, he could fight anywhere, apparently. But if you're telling me that Wilder couldn't afford on BT, then what we're talking about? That means that Wilder knew it was bogus. Is that what you're telling me, Tony? Is that what you're telling me, Tony? That's a good point. The zone didn't even exist when negotiations started. Could have had it on Sky in the UK and Showtime in the US, but Wilder insisted on having it on BT in the UK. Yeah, what's all that about? Then he fought Brazil on Sky in the UK. OMG. Yeah, the 50 mil has been debunked. Maybe you haven't been over here enough, Tony, to hear us debunk it time after time after time after time. This thing has been done more time than a $2 hoe. You get it? You Brits believe that AJ is the next. No way, no how. Gets a lot of criticism over here. Nobody believed that. What the freaking hell is this? What the hell is this? Don't you think I got a bed to go to? Okay. Okay. You can say our good nights. You can say our good nights. Hold on. Where's the link? No, that's not it. 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 Where's this here? Where's this here? People don't think Rafi got a bed to go to. What's going on? There's the link. Yeah. What about that, Tony? What about that, Tony? What was you saying? Brits think that, listen, I thought AJ might have been a Lennox Lewis type, kinda, almost, but he ain't. And that was evident from a long time ago. We just want to see him fight. We just want to see the fights. Wilder won't do it. Fury, Wilder duck Klitschko, the Klitschkos. Both of them. Fury is ducking Usyk. Fury's running away from the guy that Joshua fought 2 times. Let that sink in. Joshua ain't no second coming. We see he's tense, tentative. It ain't good. We're not happy with that. I'm closing the show, John. John. I got to get some sleep. The Fight Doctor. How do you do?
Yo, Fight Doctor's in the house on Rick James status as always. How you doing, sir?
I'm very well, Fight Doctor, but I got to get some sleep, my man. I appreciate you coming through.
Well, I'm here for a good time, not for a long time. Now, I've listened to all of the apologizing you and Mr. D. Lee have been doing the last, 3 hours, however long it's been. And I must say I am quite impressed.
3 hours for real. It's 3 hours. Oh, my God. It's supposed to be 1.5 hours.
And I must say I'm quite impressed. I am quite impressed.
Well, it's impressive stuff over here. When
Yes, sir.
have I ever failed to impress?
Oh, the apologies this time have been legendary, for sure.
To impress, I got 5-star reviews.
But now you do realize, of course, it looks like we're going to actually get the fight, and all of the apologies and all of the downplaying that you guys have done of Deontay Wilder's resume, none of that really matters anymore, because we're actually going to get the fight, and you guys will finally get to see Deontay Wilder put Anthony Joshua totally and completely to sleep.
Uh-oh.
So that's all I really wanted to say.
You gotta have a bit more than that. You gotta have a bit more than that. You can't just come on and just say that. You gotta have a bit more than that. I mean, do you still subscribe to the $50 million was real?
It does not even matter.
Do you believe that though? I just want to see the delusion of Americans. I want to see what you feel. Do you believe, after everything you've heard, that the 50 mil was real? Because I know in general Americans believe the 50 mil was real, but you've been over here often enough to hear the truth. And
so, here's what I think.
Even just now, even the simple diagram that I've drawn for you, Fish Eyes, Frank Warren, went to BT Sport, now called TNT Sport, that's what they're called, and said, listen, Joshua wants, can we make 50 million hypothetical? Can we make a hypothetical 50 mil to hypothetically offer to Joshua? All hypotheticals. So BT Sports probably got out, one of the guys in the back office probably got out a calculator, said, well, if we do this, if we do that, if we get this sponsorship, that, and the other, then it's possible. Just write down it's possible. But understand that Joshua was contracted to Sky, so exclusively. So that was over. No, it never even began. It was impossible. So in light of me telling you that, can you understand, can you accept that the 50 mil was only ever a hypothetical figure, a hypothetical whatever?
I think it was as hypothetical as the offer the Joshua side made to Deontay Wilder. Boxing is, I think that the $50 million deal made to Anthony Joshua from PBC is and was as hypothetical as the deal that Eddie Hearn's side made to
the Zone. You're saying that the Zone made a hypothetical offer to Deontay Wilder.
What I'm saying is it doesn't matter, because we're going to get to see the fight, and all of the apologies and the speculation and all of that now doesn't matter anymore, because we get to see the fight.
Well, I'm asking you a simple question though. Do you think the 50 million offer was real or hypothetical?
Listen, here's what I think. I think Eddie Hearn wanted no parts of Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua prior to when Anthony Joshua was undefeated and making tons of money, knocking over tomato cans. That's what I think.
Well, we know that Joshua's resume is better than both Fury's and Wilder's. So tomato cans, no. Carry on.
Oh, no, we don't know that Anthony Joshua's resume is better than Deontay Wilder's.
We do know. We've looked at it. We've looked at it, and most sensible minds say yes. Anthony Joshua has consistently fought the better opponents. Yes.
Well, I would think that's true for most sensible minds who are lifetime members of the Anthony Joshua cheerleading committee. Yeah, sure, but you know, for the rest of us,
okay. Well, who out of the three has the best as consistently fought the better opponents? Then, who out of the three, in your opinion?
Tyson Fury, without question. Without question.
He's only fought. No, well, I'm not even going to argue with you. We've looked at it before, and if that's your pick, if you think that Tyson Fury fighting who he's fought
Okay, so then,
has a
all right, so if
has
we
a
need to,
consistently better resume, then so be it.
if we need to
if
unhash
you would-
this, then we can do that, because
we
I mean,
can't do
you
that
look
tonight.
at,
We can't do that tonight.
okay,
We can't do that tonight.
all right.
Wilder never unified. He never unified.
Okay,
And Fury only defended for the his title for the very first time against Wilder the second fight.
yeah,
No,
but
Wilder in the
Tyson
third
Fury
fight.
wasn't defending paper titles as Anthony Joshua was.
So
now wait. We need to put things.
Wilder never unified, and Fury's only just recently.
But wait, we need
Never
to put.
defended.
But
Never
wait,
defended for the first time.
we need to put things in their proper context. Now, all those belts that Usyk lifted from Anthony Joshua rightfully belong to Tyson Fury. That's just a fact. Tyson Fury never lost any of those belts in the ring.
Tyson Fury was out on a serving a drug.
Okay, but he never lost any of those belts in the ring, now did he?
Well,
Tyson Fury is the only heavyweight. Is the only heavyweight to have held all the belts.
Well, no.
Yeah.
He popped dirty in the Hamer fight, and so should never have been in the ring against Klitschko. He should never have been in the ring against Klitschko. Those fights should be ruled no context.
Yeah,
no context.
okay. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China or the topic of the subject of the topic at hand?
Those fights should be no contest. So you're saying that if you say that you genuinely believe that Tyson Fury has consistently fought the better opponents out of the three, then I'll have to say I pray for you, bro. I'll pray for you. You know what I mean?
You save your prayers for Anthony Joshua. He's
I'll pray for you, bro.
Them, okay.
You better get your prayer circle together. Get your prayer circle together, and you better get down on your hands and knees and let them pray for you and dash some holy water on you, brother.
Yeah, the Anthony Joshua cheerleading contingent is alive and well.
Let them soak you. let them pour some holy water on your head.
You're gonna need that. Listen, you're gonna need that for Anthony Joshua come December.
Let it trickle down your face, my good man. Cleanse yourself.
Yes, sir. I will be cleansed.
Cleanse your thoughts.
I will be cleansed.
I
will be cleansed and I will be vindicated.
Put asunder your misinformed ways.
Anthony Joshua is about to get put asunder. Okay. Don't get it twisted. Okay.
Put asunder your misled ways. You've been listening to the wrong people.
Anthony Joshua is about to get put asunder. Okay.
You've been listening to the wrong people, brother.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You have been severely misinformed.
Yes, sir. I've been severely misinformed. You are correct. I have been. That is you're absolutely possibly right. I've been severely misinformed.
Severely misinformed.
Yep. And Anthony Joshua will be severely misinformed come December. Trust. Severely misinformed. Okay. Misaligned and
misaligned.
Okay. That's right.
Misaligned. Oh my gosh. Hey, that your boy Deontay Wilder has been misaligned for years.
I would agree. The man, his fundamentals are misaligned. I would agree. No question.
So you think? Did you watch the fight? You probably didn't even watch the fight, did you?
Which one? Which fight?
Joshua Elenius.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
Okay.
And look, that performance speaks for itself. I really don't have anything to say other than the fact that Anthony Joshua is going to get knocked out in January. And I think, Mr. Dawkins, even you realize that truth.
It didn't look good. It didn't look good to me.
No, it did not look good at all.
Did not look good at all. That's not what I wanted to see.
And I maintain, and I think any sensible person who has evaluated the situation can conclude that Andy Ruiz essentially ended Anthony Joshua. It's over. It's a wrap.
Well,
Anthony Joshua is gone. He's not coming back.
Gone. Yeah. The old Joshua's gone.
Yeah.
The old Joshua's gone. I mean, I'll say that. The old Joshua's gone. Now we have a new Joshua. Fight Doctor, if Wilder KOs AJ, that's fine with me, and I will be here to say the better man won. Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Daly.
Yeah, I'll be here too. I ain't going nowhere. Have I ever gone anywhere? I've seen him lose 3 times. I'm still here. RDCR is still here. We're still chopping it up. The people are still here.
The Anthony Joshua cheerleading contingent pushes on. Yes, it does.
Well, it's not cheerleading. It's not cheerleading. I don't know if you've heard any cheerleading. We don't cheerlead.
What?
We don't die. We multiply. You don't know cheerleading around here, son.
Okay. All right.
Ain't no cheerleading.
Maybe you have a different term for it.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, that's what you think. That's what you think. You've been waving your pom-poms for I don't know who. You ain't
I'm just asking the question.
You ain't even got an American champ to wave pom-poms for, because you know Wilder ain't no good. You know he ain't no good. So you can't even wave no. I can't even send you some complimentary pom-poms because you don't got.
We have Shakur Stevenson. Okay.
Well, is he moving up to heavyweights now?
There are other divisions in boxing besides heavyweight, right?
Is there? Is there a welterweight division?
We have Bud Crawford.
Okay, so why you go to Stevenson when you got Bud Crawford? What's that?
Because Stevenson is the future. That's why.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have to hang my head low. I don't have to hold my nose when I watch Deontay Wilder fight, even though maybe I might be tempted. Because at the end of the day, we have Bud Crawford, and more importantly, we have Shakur Stevenson. Okay.
Yeah, Shakur.
Bud Crawford, the present.
Yeah.
And Shakur Stevenson, the bright and shining future. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So you don't see any way that Anthony Joshua could spark that chin of Wilder's. You don't see that happening.
Listen, anything is possible. It's a heavyweight division, right? And one punch can end matters. So anything is possible. But what's likely? What's probable? Given their history, given Deontay Wilder's past and how we've seen him handle adversity, and when we compare that to how we've seen Anthony Joshua handle adversity, who do we think has more of a dog in them, right?
Well, didn't the dog crap get beaten out to Wilder? Has he got any dog crap left in him?
Well, so
to get beat out, he's had the whole of the dog crap. He's had his whole complement of dog crap beaten out of him.
But see, here's the difference: is that if we go back and look at the third fight between Wilder and Fury had to literally beat the tar out of Deontay Wilder to win that fight.
Yeah, and he did.
Whereas when we go back to the 12th round of the first Usyk fight.
Yeah.
And this is a cruiserweight coming up.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua looked very disinterested.
Disinterested. He was in there. He stayed there.
He looked like he needed some holy water.
He stayed in there. He stayed in there.
Well, what about the
first? He was beat by the better boxer. What can I say? What can I tell you? What I'm tell you? He was beat by the better boxer. He was beat by the better points fighter. What can I tell you?
But the problem is that in Deontay Wilder, he would not be facing the better boxer. He'll be facing a guy who's arguably the hardest puncher in the history of the sport.
Who?
And that's Deontay Wilder. And at some point, he's going to land a right hand.
You think so?
A big one. What's probable here? I'm talking about just probability.
Yeah.
Not possibility, probability. Yes, he's probably going. It's a 12-round fight.
Yeah.
And Joshua isn't the destroyer anymore. He's not looking at first-round KO guys anymore.
And you really think Deontay Wilder hits that hard?
We're gonna find out. But he's floored every man he's been in the ring with, and this is the fact. That's not me exaggerating or embellishing. That's just a fact. He's put everybody on the floor. And you think somehow Joshua is going to be the exception to that rule? No.
You don't.
Joshua is going to get put down. The only question is, will he be able to get back up? That's the only question. Can he get back up? And if he does, then what? He goes into deer in headlights mode? Listen, I'm telling you.
Can't you see Anthony Joshua just separating Wilder from his senses? You can't see that, can you?
anything is possible. But I'm talking about what's probable, what is most likely going to happen. Okay, and nobody's ever one punch knocked out Deontay Wilder. That hasn't happened. Nobody's come close to one punch knocking out Deontay Wilder. Okay, you have to literally beat him down, and even when he's been knocked out, he still was trying to get up and finish the fight. So if Anthony Joshua is looking to beat Deontay Wilder, I think his best bet would be to beat him on points. Because if he's going in there to trade punches, that's the least. I think that's probably the worst game plan Joshua could come up with to fight.
He's not going to want to trade. He's not going to want to trade. He's not going to want to trade punches.
He's going to get knocked out.
He wants to put his jab. He wants to put his jab in his face and then put that Hellenius right on his chin. And that takes out an elephant.
Yeah, he's going to get knocked out regardless, because I would imagine he's probably going to be fighting off the back foot all night. He's probably not going to load up on the right hand, at least not early. And he's going to be catching punches, hard punches on the chin, flush at some point. So
Wilder,
Anthony Joshua.
What will Wilder be doing while this is happening?
Anthony Joshua will be chasing a rabbit. That's what he will be doing. I'm sorry. Deontay Wilder will be chasing a rabbit. That's what
chasing a rabbit.
Yeah,
he's going to be chasing.
Joshua will be on his back foot.
So is that a metaphor? So Deontay Wilder is going to be chasing his own tail?
Well, we'll see. We will see.
We gonna see. So, Fight Doctor, much thanks for taking time out of your day to come over and help us say good night to the people.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure as always, and I'm looking forward to taking all of your money.
Yeah, man, we're gonna do this. We're gonna send the contract over, get your people to send the contract over to my people, and we'll get it done.
Yes, sir.
That was the Fight Doctor. Very kind of him to jump on as we share a little nightcap. It's been highly eventful. The John Dealey came in, and then the Tony reviews. Don't get Tony over here very often. I don't know why Tony didn't stick around to just complete the thing and have his final words. You know, it's a tradition over here. But Tony got, I just hit Tony up with the truth. I just hit him up with the truth. Tony, I just hit you up with the truth. And the truth was that it was a hypothetical deal, Tony. Hypothetical deal. Fish eyes, Frank Warren went to BT Sports, now TNT Sports, and said, hey, let's see if we can make some numbers. Can we get some numbers? AJ wants $50, $50 million. Can we get some numbers sorted out? And then they came back with some bogus 50 mil, knowing that AJ can't even fight on their platform. He can't fight on BT because he's exclusive with Sky at the time. So it was bogus from the start. I want to explain that to you, Tony. You hang up the phone. Tony. That ain't right. Tony. You know what I mean? So Wilder hit so hard, he started crying. He started crying with Hellenius when he knocked him out. He went to his room and they cried together and they held each other's hands and said, we shouldn't have to do this to each other. You know what I mean? But you know what, folks? You know what? I think we've done this thing. Couldn't keep on going all night, so we had to just bring it down gently. Bring it down. Big shout out to the John D. Lee for jumping on. Big shout out to Tony Reviews. You should have stayed around for the nightcap. Come on now. And then, of course, big shout out to the fight doctor who came to top off the madness. He said, no, this is unacceptable. This has not been enough madness. You've not satisfied the madness quota. Let me just jump on. Where's the link? OMG. The video he is quoting from Blue Blood is not factual. It is not that Eddie did not say it. I think you're saying Eddie didn't say it. I think you're saying Eddie didn't say it. It's not factual. Yeah, and I believe it's not factual. I believe it's not factual. It's Blue Blood. How the hell can anybody, please, seriously, how the hell can anybody quote Blue Blood? You must be out of your mind. Out of your mind. You out of your mind, bro, Tony. You out of your mind, Tony, to quote Blue Blood. You crazy? The 50 mil was real. It's purely hypothetical. How can something hypothetical be real? That's an oxymoron. It don't make no sense whatsoever. Now I gotta find a way to paste these. Gotta find a way to paste all these links so I can put them in the chat, permanent chat. So before I close this thing down, I've got to copy these links. Might as well quote Goebbels. I think Goebbels would probably be a more accurate source. Ended on a high note, though. The fight doctor always comes mushroom infused. You know what I mean? So yeah. We it's a good thing. Okay, so let me copy these links. I gotta copy them from one place, put them in another place, and then come back to them. So let me copy these links as we wind the thing down. So that's link number 1, I think. Actually copy them and put them elsewhere, and I have to copy them as a one whole and then put them back. I won't be reading them because I already know what the situation is. I'm happy with it. So I won't be reading them, but I'll put them in for other people. How many links was there? Was it 2? Was it just 2? Okay, if it's just 2 links, then there it is. If there's 2 links, then there it is. Ooh, there is. So what else are we saying? We ain't saying nothing else. Because I'm pretty sure we've said everything there is to say. Everything's been said. What is there left to say that hasn't been said other than this thing has gone over time? You're out of your mind. This thing has gone over time. And Rafi, I think I got some chicken to eat. I think I got my last protein of the day to eat. What is it? There's something that I need to eat. What is it? Some chicken? I think I need to eat some chicken before I go to bed, but it's late. But I need my protons. I've got an interesting day tomorrow. And then I've got a very, very interesting day on Thursday. Lots to do. So much to do. Okay, folks. We went long, super long. And you know, everything's being said. What's left for there to say that hasn't been said? It's been said. It's been done. We've done it. We've cooked it. We've roasted it. We've sauteed it. We've marinated it. We've done every damn thing with it. There ain't nothing left to do. Is there anything left to do? Yeah, go check out my videos. I've done some videos. Check them out if you want further entertainment. What else is there for me to say? I don't think there is anything left for me to say other than you are in tune to the Raphael Dawkins Combat Radio. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that share button. Hit all of the good buttons. And don't forget to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend. It's all been said. It's been chopped up, sauteed, roasted, grilled, marinated. Done everything we could have cooked. I used every type of different cooking technique and every kind of seasoning, every kind of good herb to make sure everything was cooked, curried, and copacetic. Check out the videos. Check out the live shows. There's nothing else for me to say other than blessed.